first and last the one God made, and that's the truth. But man, keep on trying to hold me back while another chicken head come home to lose. Just don't try to do me wrong, and the last one standing will order and command you to dance. Oh, dance.
But tell your preacher and your teacher, I'ma give you what you love. I got to give you what you love. It's time to give you what you love. Give you what you love. Give you some love.
Good afternoon, Philadelphia. Yes, you are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice and seeing my ecstatic face, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders and your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Okay, let's get it out the way, shall we? Marva is wearing her Wakanda necklace because I came here today to fully say thank you, thank you, thank you, WURD listeners. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. We have been on the air for weeks and months at a time. On The Source, we talked about the ballot questions every time I was on the air. On The Source, we talked about why people are voting, why people aren't voting. On The Source, we had all sorts of people like Latasha from Black Voters Matter on, so we could talk about it, give you what you needed. And let me just tell you, WURD listeners, how you came through. All I could hear was Bob Marley saying, "Them I got tired, fishing with face. Can't get Philly out of the race." And you all showed up and showed out and showed and proved. And Philly is on the map. My friends from Georgia, from Jamaica, from Virginia, from Florida, everybody was calling saying Philadelphia took it over the edge. And so from my heart to yours, thank you so, so much. You have all been just so good. You know, we gave you the space and the grace to have the conversations that you wanted to have. We listened to you. And we tried to bring people on the air that could really give you what you were looking for and what you needed. So I've got my Wakanda necklace on today because I am so proud to say I am from a city of good trouble. I am so proud to say that good things happen right here in Philadelphia. And I'm super duper proud to say even the elected officials got in the middle. The Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General Josh Shapiro, everybody got in and said, you don't send for us. Don't come for us. This is the birthplace of our nation. We do what we're supposed to do. We're counting our ballots. We want to make sure everybody get what they need. We want every Trump ballot counted, vote counted. We want every Biden vote counted. And we want to make sure every third-party vote is counted because that's how we do things in Pennsylvania. Here's the other thing that I'd like to say, because I have been on the air having conversations about the fact that white women have openly voted for Trump for the current president. And in Montgomery County, those white women voted 100,000 more strong for Joe Biden. And so that took us over the top. So between Philadelphia and Montgomery County, the southeastern tip of Pennsylvania and parts of Bucks, let me just not leave them out, the southeastern tip of Pennsylvania was bluer and bluer and blue. And so thank you. This first hour is dedicated to all of you. If you want to call in, 215-634-8065 is the number. Now hear me. We have a lot of healing to do in this country. It is very, very clear. I had friends on my social media pages that I didn't even realize what I did. Let me not lie. I knew they were Republicans, but they're my friends, right? You know, I've met them in different places from different parts around the country, and they, for the most part, they've been very quiet. And for 100% of the times, they have been very respectful because, you know, when you send Mother a friend request, one of the first things I say to you is, listen, this is how we're going to do things here. We're going to be respectful. We don't always have to agree, blah, 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 blah. But my Republican friends on my social media pages were so angry and upset. And to a certain extent, I understand how they're feeling because in 2016, my Democratic friends were feeling the same way. You know, I don't know what we're going to do now. How are we going to manage? And so we have to get to a place of consistent healing and to really continue to listen to each other. I have said this before. I will continue to say it. We are challenging ourselves in ways that most people cannot even begin to imagine. This just in, Ben Carson just tested positive for COVID-19. Okay. Um, it's so I wanted to share something with you. On Sunday, I was out walking. I do my usual, what is it? I trek. I do a hike every Sunday with a group of friends. And yesterday we did 11 miles. We did almost 11 miles. And while I was out there, the white folks were so nice. OMG. They were stopping us. And we don't walk on the regular path. We go way, way, way up, right? And we would run into people who were like, thank you, black people. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking us over the top. More of us voted for Donald Trump than the black people did. Thank you so much. I heard hallelujah. People were talking to us in places we just never had before. And so I can see folks really trying to get to a place where we want to do a little bit of healing. But we have a lot of work to do, right? We didn't get here 200 years into the formation of this country, where so many people have died, where so many things have gone on, that we can just walk away and say, well, we have Biden now and all is well. We have a virus that is now, as of today, there will be 10 million people infected. As of today, well over 238,000 people have died from this virus in this country. But also, as of today, Pfizer is saying that they have a vaccine that may be able to help people. And so they're figuring out ways to unveil it. So just pay attention to what's going on around you. Do not get lackadaisical. I know it's hard. Both my sons were in town this past weekend, and they could not come around me without their mask on. I made sure I told them, I said, you have to consistently be careful. There's so much going on here. But man, this day belongs to the Philadelphia folks. This day, you all stepped up and stepped out. And I also want you to know, as your host, Mother, I made a phone call to a couple of people in the Democratic Party and say, let's dance, okay? We have a city that has 24% unemployment. We have a city where COVID has struck more people than not. We have a city where the death toll, not just from COVID, but from violence, at well over 400 at this point. We have a city where there's too many people that are still not doing what they're supposed to do to help us. And so now I'm demanding that we start to do something for this city and make sure that the people can start to get what they need so that we can move ahead, right? We are no longer just giving our votes and expecting nothing in return. And President-elect Joe Biden got on the stage this past weekend and said he completely recognizes that black people took him over the top, starting with Congressman Clyburn in South Carolina. And so we now have to hold them accountable for those votes that we've given to them. Because without us, honestly, there would have been no President-elect Joe Biden, and he's very aware of it. We also have a vice president now, and she is someone I'm going to talk about a little bit in the next hour or so. Joseph is on already. Let me talk to him. Joseph.
Yeah, let me take my. How you doing
What's
out
up?
there?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
All right, Joseph from Massachusetts. Yeah, I'm not a Republican, but I voted for Trump. I'm not gonna bust your bubble. But
Okay.
you from Jamaica. I was caught up in the Jamaican politics, PNP, JLP, Jamaican Labour Party, People National Party, and that's what America is becoming. You know, not to put down Jamaica, but the high violent rate, 1,500 murders a year is due to politics, and that's where we're headed. The violence didn't hit the street yet. Now, I used to go to all the rude boy clubs in New York. I used to DJ until some bad boy Jamaicans pulled a gun on me. And I say for Jamaican people, I'm going to show you how this is connected to American politics. For Jamaican people always preaching consciousness and love black people, I say, why is the violence? Why you got the highest murder rate in the world? Well, it's because we so sure one posse think they shower posse think they're better than Spangler posse think they're better than shower posse. And this is what America is becoming. Because we can't have so much hate for the opposition. You just can't, because it's going to lead to violence. Because Donald Trump, President Trump, which I support, got 70 million people to vote for him. Now, we want to talk about the 2004 election with Al Gore and George Walker Bush in Florida, the hanging child, the dangling child, the pregnant child. Al Gore say, for the sake of America, let's give the election basically for George Walker Bush, and we agree. So for the sake of America, we can't just jump and say Joe Biden won. There was so much thing. Will Smith's father voted. His father died 7 years ago. Joe Lou.
Okay,
Joe
all right,
Frazier.
okay, Joseph. All right, so let me just say this to you. Unless you have complete facts to say that Will Smith's father died and voted in this election, I just really, really want you to be very careful. I want no conjecture here today, right? We have to get to a place where we just do what is right on behalf of each other and make it go, okay?
Yeah, but let's don't rub it in Donald Trump's face because he's going to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. And I don't want the Democrats to be let down. So
and you're right. So here's the thing.
Let's don't brag about we so right and we Democrats are winners.
So wait a minute. So let me say this to you. You heard me get on here and say every Republican vote is going to be counted. Every Democratic vote is going to be counted. I don't have a horse to fit in this fight. I am a radio show host, right? And so my personal opinions don't enter into this. My personal opinions come in when I'm talking about how we are struggling as a people. And you also heard me say I'm holding the Democratic Party accountable for those votes that they have been given. So let's let the best man. Hold on one second. Let me say this one more time.
I'm just letting you listen.
When all the challenges are over, when everything is said and done, if you know the laws of this country, then you know that when all the challenges are done, there is no way that Donald Trump can remain president of this country, just based on the laws alone of this country. So I wish.
Anyway, have a nice day.
You too. Bye. Oh, I just love it. Listen, I am cool with folks calling in and giving their opinions because I absolutely love and adore the WURD listeners. But when you call over here and you say things like Will Smith's father voted and he was dead how many years ago, and so many other people, that all of that stuff, if we can't verify it, we should never pick up the phone or go into social media and have those kinds of conversations, right? Because it only keeps the craziness going, and nobody wants to deal with and hear that. And so here's what I am saying. It took them days to call this election, days, right? And people have made sure, even the ballots that got in after the election, after they pulled them off to the side and didn't use them in Pennsylvania. So even if they go through all of that and recount, there is no way this man can continue to remain president of the United States. In 2016, even though everybody was, losing their minds, some were happy, some were not. This is the way the democracy works in this country. And so what we're not going to do is cry over spilt milk or make people feel crazy because one party won and the other one didn't. We've got work to do. People are dying in this country. All right, Steve, Hain Sport, how are you?
Very good, Mrs. Walker. How are you doing? And thanks for taking my call.
You're quite welcome.
Real quick, I called earlier on the other show, and I had spoken about that vaccine they're supposed to have. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but I was telling them, it's most likely they're going to have that vaccine ready pretty soon. But here's the other thing I want to ask you. What's the bickering going on in the Democratic Party? I saw the lady on from Puerto Rico up in New York. What's her name? The congresswoman from
Cortez?
Yes. What's going on there? And I'm hearing they want to get rid of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
Guys that try to get rid of Trump. So I'm going to sit back and listen to what you guys got to say and take my call.
Oh, Steve, so listen. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So there has always been bickering between the parties, as you can see. I don't know. There have been people who said that Nancy Pelosi's time is long since gone, that she's not as effective. There are other people who believe that she is, right? I agree with you on the vaccine issue. It's probably something that's going to come out soon and very soon because lots and lots of people are dying. The governor of Utah just declared a state of emergency after saying he's not going to ask for his people to wear masks. So it's a lot going on, right? And we just kind of have to wade through the craziness and get to the bottom line, which is the people that live in this country, so we can work together as much as possible and do the right things for each other. Is that all right?
Yeah, but what got me is now I saw Philadelphia and Washington, and first thing that came to my mind on, I think it was Sunday morning, was it? Or I think it was Sunday morning when they announced Biden, or Saturday.
Saturday.
And I said, wow, those people are gathered in there like that. You got a virus running around, and I don't know. They must have lost it. Everybody lost.
Yeah, they did
Whether it
lose
was
it. I
Trump
didn't.
supporters or their supporters. It
Yes.
was a mob. So
Yes. Did
somebody
you
got to
just
tell
call
them,
the?
listen,
Wait a minute.
calm it
Wait a
down.
minute, Steve. Wait a minute, Steve. Are you still there?
Yep, sir.
Did you just call the people celebrating a mob?
Well, no, I'm saying it was like, no, I'm not calling people mob. I said both sides, whether it was Trump
Okay.
people or they were all like in a mob. Like, you know, they were just, I mean, it was like a football stadium. Like,
Yeah.
you can't be that close with this virus going around. And, well, you know what I'm saying. And
I
I
do
was
know what you're
like,
saying.
maybe
I
they
understand
gotta
you
calm
now.
this thing down. So somebody in the Democratic Party got to tell the people, calm down now. We got to
Yes.
try to get this virus under control.
I agree. I agree. Thank you for calling in, sir. You have
Okay.
a great day, okay?
Same you.
All right. Bye-bye. Lord, y'all done started this show off right. So, Lord, listen, I'm over here killing trees. It's a lot. There's a lot going on right now, and there's so much that I want to talk to you about. But again, Philadelphia, I want to thank you. We asked you to come out and vote. 90% of you that were able to that are registered to vote and did what you needed to do. You turned this election on its ear. And so whether you voted for the president or you voted for Joe Biden, I want to personally say thank you for getting up and voting. It is important. It is a part of your civic duties and your rights. And so now, I don't know if there are people who can probably argue with me around this, but there have been so many crazy things happening to black and brown people in this country. Now my ask is, what are we doing to support and make sure that those black and brown people get what they need? Because we've been ignored for far too long. I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back. And in fact, hold on, it's 1:19. I'm going to read something to you. And then at 2:30, I will have her on. Keir Bradford Gray wrote an article for WHYY that hit this morning, about an hour ago. And it says, justice system reform is impotent unless you eliminate racist practices. It is undeniable that we're experiencing a pivotal moment for the criminal justice system. Recent activism and protests have more effectively than ever focused the attention of the American people on the role that race plays in the application of justice. We continue to see examples of how the system too often reflects the whims of powerful white men in a way that exacts a heavy toll on minority communities while undermining public safety. And this brought to mind for me Cassandra Franklin's case with the chief prosecutor, Vosi, and how he used his power to prosecute this woman because she cut him off while he was riding his motorcycle. We urgently, this is Keir again, we urgently need a system that actually makes every community safer. What we need is not reform, she says, but an explicit effort to not only denounce but eliminate the racially motivated practices and decisions that have come to define the criminal justice system. We need to uproot ineffective, unconsidered, and abusive practices and policies historically justified by the false claims that they promote public safety. In this current moment of racial reckoning, we need an evidence-based approach that examines the impact of our policies and practices and moves the public safety needle in the right direction while being fair to all people and responsible with our resources. Let's begin by rethinking what we treat as crimes and question why, depending on the race of the people involved, our system uses different responses for the same behavior. For example, when inner-city black communities faced a drug epidemic, it was framed as a criminal justice issue requiring harsh penalties. Now that white communities are facing a similar epidemic, our society is characterizing it as a public health issue that requires empathy and treatment. The same unequal treatment is reflected in the way our system addresses everything from youthful indiscretions to parole hearings to traffic violations. The police killings of unarmed black people are egregious and deservedly grab headlines, but the damaging consequences of this inequality are more complex and far-reaching. This inequality erodes public safety in multiple ways. It erodes trust between law enforcement and the communities it is unfairly targeting, leading to community reluctance to engage the police or cooperate with the justice system. Many black lives have been diminished or destroyed by lost jobs and opportunities caused by unfair imprisonment or court appearance requirements or convictions from excessive charges. These financial consequences and disqualification from full participation in our economic system contribute to increased poverty, which increases the desperation that can result in more crime. Lastly, the random and unreasonable assaults on a community's freedom to drive, gather in a park, or sleep in a bed are a constant threat. Even as Philadelphia's chief defender, I feel vulnerable. This terror is the antithesis of public safety. As far too many black people know, even when you are not found guilty, you are not necessarily protected from the system's damage. White leaders who have the license to invoke criminal scrutiny of any black person's behavior gives them the power to irreparably damage black people regardless of guilt or innocence. This is only possible when law enforcement perpetrates the weaponization of white privilege. When so-called progressive prosecutors are complicit in this weaponization, it is not only an injustice, it is a dereliction of duty and a huge detriment to reform, because progressives are supposed to drive awareness of systemic problems. This behavior reinforces a blind spot to the damage created by the misapplication of the criminal label, which is one of the biggest and most insidious barriers to change. I have to take a quick break, and I'm going to finish the last couple of paragraphs from her riveting piece that she wrote, an essay that she wrote. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. Many of us have heard this term before, but may not know what it really means. Compassionate living brings mindfulness and peace to the center of your daily life. Compassionate living can look like this. Number 1, be gentle with yourself and those around you. Number 2, choose to speak kindly to others, even when you're upset. Number 3, become a good listener and practice empathy at home and at work. We sometimes think in order to live with compassion, we have to become someone else. Not so. In fact, allowing peacefulness to be at the center of our daily interactions is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at WURDradio.com.
At PICO, we know one thing is certain. Times have changed. From kitchen classrooms to couch conference calls, searching for a new job, or new ways to keep your family connected. These changes have become a part of our reality. That's why our teams are working 24/7 to meet the needs of our communities. So no matter how much things change, you can depend on PICO to be there with the energy and help you need to power through. Learn more at pico.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. This just in, Trump just fired his Secretary of Defense. Let me continue reading this, and I'm going to take the string of calls that I have. So I'm reading an essay written by Chief Defender Keir Bradford Gray. She says, for centuries, this country labeled those who escaped from slavery as criminals, while slavery itself was not a crime. Over time, this philosophy has morphed into the belief that controlling black bodies increases public safety. Removing such a long-held assumption will take focused, intentional re-education that could take years. We need to start now. We must begin at the point where we first decide to consider a behavior criminal. We need justice system leaders to more carefully consider who they're bringing into the system and why. I am calling on Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner to amplify anti-racist efforts in our justice system. Progressive prosecutors must be more than allies in the fight against systemic racism and be more proactive about calling it out, even or especially when it's being perpetrated by their peers and colleagues. Now is the time to make sure that anyone working on behalf of the community understands that what the community needs from them. Finally, all of our justice system leaders must demand that police stop intruding on the lives of minority citizens for behaviors that do not trigger justice system intervention for white citizens. Let's not waste the opportunity to learn from the civil rights movement we are in. Let's use this time to reimagine our justice system's role in our communities. Instead of making some of us feel targeted and vulnerable, let's design a system that will treat us equally, making us all feel safe. That was a piece written by Keir Bradford Gray, an essay that was put into the WHYY, printed today. I will be the first person that interviews her after this essay, and she will be on at 2:30. All right, let's go. Let me take some calls, because I promised you this first hour was for all about the WURD listeners. Maurice from Southwest.
Mother.
Hey, honey, how you doing?
Hey, listen, I finally got the freedom to run around Center City butt naked. I'm going to tell you why. When Trump was in office, I was running around Center City naked, but I had gasoline drawers on. Now I feel safe. I don't have to worry about smokers or anything now. I don't have to wear it. So I feel good that we're free now. Now, as far as your naysayers that call up with all these problems and what Donald Trump's going to do, sorry, that's in the past now. We got to think positive. We got to keep the same spirit when we get to our local elections. The same spirit we had in this election, we need to keep the same spirit in this election.
I agree, Maurice.
And the young lady that you got coming up, I want you to ask her one thing from me.
What?
Say that Maurice from Southwest would she consider running for mayor?
Oh, Maurice, I had that conversation with her when she was still public defender of Montgomery County. And in fact, if she doesn't run for mayor for the city of Philadelphia, I believe she will be mayor in a large town, in some town across this country at some point or another. She is someone that stands firmly, unapologetically, and it comes at a cost to her. So don't believe for a second that she gets out there and no one comes at her neck, that she doesn't feel like people are targeting her at all times. I could tell you stories, right? But that's the story of a black woman. That's the story, Maurice, that we talk about black women all the time, especially when we're putting.
The reason I say that is we got to stop pulling people from the same cesspool all the time and putting them in office. Anything comes out of city council or was part of this so-called city government, the upper echelons, do not need to be mayor because they don't live like us. They don't think like us. We got to get some people that actually care about us so they can empathize that why black people don't have jobs in Philadelphia. We need people like that. Why we're always the victims of crime and always punished for crimes that other people walk away from. We got to have somebody in office like that, because I'm so tired of us picking somebody's homie or their friend, and they convince us, they've been in service 15 years. They need to run this city. No, they don't, because they see how bad the city is, and they have done absolutely nothing to improve it, because I've been here all the time. That's why I have no friends in City Hall, because once you get a friend, you don't want to say nothing.
Yeah, got you. Thank you for calling in, man. Always a pleasure. Love you too. Bye. Reverend Joe, how are you?
Dr. Mr. Andrea, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, sir. How are you?
Cell phone, that's what I'll tell you real quick. My suggestion would be to myself, I'm going to fight all I can do changing this racism. Bring back some of the songs of the civil rights movement. There's some great songs out there. I'm Black and I'm Proud. And one of the songs I made with the Dixie Hummingbird was Prayer for Peace. I told your producer, see if he can find it in his computer and play just a couple of minutes of it. But we need to get together now because the country's divided so bad. After 70 million people voted for that man, we got a lot of work to do. We can start with ourselves.
Yes, and Reverend Joe, not only did 70 million people vote for him, they saw that more black folks voted for him too, right? So that's just it ain't sad. It's not sad. Let me tell you why it's not sad. We have to meet people where they are. There are some people who believe that what they believe, right? And there are folks who have to feel it to understand it, right? And they may never change their minds. My goal is not to try and change anybody's mind, Reverend Joe. My job is to educate people, give you the information, and then you do with it as you will. right?
They said even during slavery, some of the slaves didn't want to go free.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay. You know, history, I'm telling you, 2020, 100, 200 years after we are gone from this earth, 2020 is a year that they're going to still be talking about in history. And some people are going to land on one side of history, and other people are going to land on the other side. Amen. Amen.
Would you consider music, doing something through music? I think that's the way I'm going to fight this race, through the music and project music. So if you want to search around for songs that make sense, I sure help you with that. You can do it on your own.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate your calling in as always. All right. Bye-bye. Brother Mike, Columbus, Ohio. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Mother. Can you hear me?
How you doing? I can hear you loud and clearly. How are you?
Okay. I'm awesome. I want to make 2 quick points because I know you have callers. The first point is I've been listening to Talk Radio since Mary Mason 1979, all the way through with Cody and all those great people. I got to tell you, WURD, they literally, as far as I'm concerned, the host took it personal and just put Philadelphia on their back and did what they could to will so many people to get out there. I am so proud of this radio station, what they did unapologetically. They did not mince words. They did not dance for politicians. They called people out. And WURD, as far as I'm concerned, deserves a lot of credit. And I hope our vice president, that somebody from WURD finds a way to talk with her and help her understand how important this radio station is, because this radio station, it really needs to be in so many more.
Oh, Michael, where are you?
To really continue to be as effective as it is. And then I got one last point. Can you still hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. We all, and I say we all were so happy and dancing and all those things we were doing because it felt like the liberation from everything we read about a plantation. And if you look at this, and this is not about me calling the current guy any name. If you look at it, everything that I've read about a plantation master, that's who we currently have. Everything that I've read, and anyone who voted for him from our culture, our race, everything I've read about people who we tried to escape from the plantation, and they told on us that they didn't want to leave, that's who they are. And I'll leave on that note. Thanks a lot. I'll continue to listen.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I just realized I didn't print out my thing for today. I was so happy. Wes from Mount Airy.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. What can I do for you?
I'm happy with the election. I'll just say if Democrats focus on people's economic conditions and improve that, we won't have issues going to midterm. But I found interesting with the article you were reading. I'm actually reading a book called The Kidnappers Club. It's about in New York City during the time of slavery, where police officers would kidnap free slaves and send them down south through the court system and everything. And when you were talking about that, we pretty much have to look at the system of policing in general. Because policing is not really there to protect us. It's pretty much to keep us in check.
Right.
Even if you look in the 90s where they used to have zero tolerance zones, where any bad area, they're just going to a police state full force into that neighborhood to try to clear crime out. And it's going to take, even if you put a progressive in there, in those situations, the system is going to be so strong that it can corrupt that person. So whoever we put in there, we're going to have to back that person for full tilt.
Yes. Yep. Agreed.
I mean, full tilt to sit there and let that person do what he has to do, because it's not just, people forget, cops have a political ideology. And their political ideology is this. It was what Trump was saying. They want to be protected. There have been laws, there have been bills that they've been trying to get passed where they make them a protected citizen, a protected class, even though they're already protected through the law. And when it comes, you talk about crime, white-collar crime and normal, crime that's among two people is treated differently. A white-collar criminal, just look at the senator in Georgia who did insider trading.
Right.
That's not looked the same as a person who robs somebody, because they sit there and they say, a person who robs somebody, you're inflicting something on that person. But white-collar crime, you're inflicting stuff on people, too. If you're embezzling, if you're doing money laundering, if you're doing stuff that hurt, if you have a mortgage company and you're doing stuff to get people evicted, you're hurting people. But the way people look at that crime, they look at that crime, it's not as bad as you robbing somebody, but you're still impacting somebody. So those individuals have to be held accountable, just like the person on the corner that robbed and shoot somebody.
Right. Agreed. Thank you so much for calling in, man. Take it easy. Oh, man. The folks. All right. Bye-bye. I just also, while I'm taking these phone calls, I want to shout out Sister Lynetta, who I was walking on the trails yesterday, and she heard my voice, and she said, that sounds like Mother. And I turned around and I said, you listen to WURD? And she said, yes. And so we had a great conversation. I want you all to know, as WURD hosts and producers, really, because it takes all of us to make this radio station run. We appreciate you may not always agree with us and the things that we have to say, and we're all different in our own way because we're not marionettes, but we do the best work that we can in the moments that we have. And this election cycle was a rough one for everybody, right? And so I want to thank you all for when you see us, that you talk to us. We will treat you kindly. I know I will treat you kindly, and I fully appreciate everything that you say and do as we move forward and do what we got to do. So let's see. Let me take one more call. I took West, right? Oh, Lord. I think you better call Tyrone. Hi, Tyrone.
Hello, Mother. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you, sir?
Well, after this wonderful weekend, where we can prayerfully get back to some normality of life, I think that all is on a positive note. But, Mother, I'm calling just to say, like everybody else, Trump, you had your opportunity. You had an opportunity that I don't believe any other president had, because you had such a consistent following, and you did nothing for nobody but yourself and tried to please those who followed you. As you see, you have tore up this country to shreds. You got an opportunity because you had no political awareness, no political experience, no political nothing. And the folks voted you in for you to make a difference, and all you did was tow stuff up. So go home, go sleep on what your opportunity was, and leave this country alone. You had your opportunity, and it's time for you to say, I messed up. I need to go on with my life. Because all you're doing is making a complete fool of yourself right now.
So
that's
Tyrone,
my take on it, Mother.
All right. So I just want to thank you personally, you and Woody and Miss Mary and all the folks that are just, I know it's break time. I'm coming, Mike. I just thank you all. You make, at least I can't speak for everybody, but you all make my days go brighter, right? You tell me what's going on in the community. You make me laugh. Some days I come on the air and I just want to cry, and you all have just been amazing. Thank you all so much. Even the people that
Mother,
yes.
Mother, you have been truly, truly amazing. And what you are doing for our young folks, I'm just praying that those who are not into the fold of trying to make things better out here get a chance to work with these beautiful young people you consistently bring on, and allow us to say, thank God, we do got some folks who are going to make a difference. Mother.
We love you too, honey. Talk to you soon, okay?
Okay, take care.
All right. All right, bye-bye. I know I have a couple more guests, couple more callers. I'll take you right after the break. But Tyrone is absolutely right. I love the young people, and anything having to do with education on any level. We can always fuss and complain about what's wrong in this city. I want to talk about what's right in this city. And there's a lot that's right here. And we want to amplify those voices. So maybe you can learn who these people are and start putting them in positions of power instead of just going along to get along. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939. Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media.
Did you know you can catch the flu and COVID-19 at the same time or even back to back? Don't risk catching the flu during the COVID-19 pandemic. The flu shot is a safe and effective way of reducing your chances of catching the flu or spreading it to others. And the flu shot helps protect you and your community from the worst effects of the flu. Don't say, I should have got my flu shot. Call your doctor or visit your pharmacist and get your flu shot today.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I am spending the first hour thanking the WURD listeners, like literally effusively thanking you for getting up and going out to vote. Wherever you voted, whoever you voted for, I was just so impressed by what took place in this city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. Thank you all so, so much. And so I've been taking a bunch of phone calls. Before I get to these last couple of calls before 2 p.m., I'm going to have a conversation with you all about Kamala Harris and the Vice President-elect Harris and her Jamaican father, and do a little bit of an explanation for all of you about why Jamaican children have such an often delicate relationship with their parents, because you want to read stuff in the news about him. Super smart man, has done some amazing things, but he has a complicated relationship with his daughter, at least with Kamala. And I'll explain a little bit more about that to you later on down in the show. Just remind Mother. Let me see now. Miss Mary, how are you?
Yes, good afternoon, Andrea.
Good afternoon.
You know, I just want to let the American people know that we can get major police reform in place based on the law that was filed.
Miss Mary, I'm hearing an echo. Do you have a radio or something on?
No, it's on your end. I don't have anything on.
Okay. All right, Michael. Fix that for Mother, please. Go ahead, Miss Mary.
Okay. We can get major police reform in place based on the 2 lawsuits that were filed by the Philadelphia Police Department, McNesty. We can countersue. One of the complaints he filed was regarding the Rally for Justice coalition that Solomon Jones formed, a nonprofit, and some of the police officers were fired. We should not be settling these lawsuits. They're charging us with $200 million that they think they're going to get from taxpayers. We can countersue on a national level to get major police reform in place. We need to make sure that it's back with the federal government with federal background checks, psychological testing, and also drug testing for these police departments. And before they hire them. And we need to weed out the people that never received a background check. They contracted out this work and basically did it based on Congress saying that they did not have enough funds in place to continue on a national level. So what they did, they had every city and state to do their own investigation, which is basically illegal for private contractors to have to do this type of work.
Okay.
Now, and hopefully we can get these major reforms in place. And another issue, we need to make sure we pressure not only Biden but Harris to make sure that we are paid for these pipelines that they're placing primarily in the urban areas. You know, and we have never received funding or revenue for these contracts.
Miss Mary, can I ask you something? Because you've been calling into this station now and you've been talking about a lot of these same things. Did you write all of this stuff down somewhere and put it in writing and send it to these folks?
Oh, no, I called them directly. I didn't know.
No, Miss Mary, listen to me. If you call them and it's not in writing, they can say they don't remember, they don't know.
Let me tell you, I've been talking to not only when Bush was in office, but also President Obama. They know me. They know exactly who I am when I call to not only the Democrats, but the Republicans. I've also put information on board in emails. How do you think that they got the Affordable Care Act in place? You know, these Congress people do not know policy. You know, it had to be somebody who worked into the system.
Got you.
And this is, not only do I email them, I contact them, and this is what I've been doing since we got Biden in office, and also Kamala Harris. I already made my suggestions to them,
all right.
And they know exactly what I'm stemming to make sure that we weed these people out, these ineffective Congress people that we have, these ineffective city council members. These people have to go. They're not working for the people. They're working to enrich themselves. And I'm sick of seeing it. Thank you, and you have a good day.
Oh, you too, Miss Mary. Thank you for everything that you do. Bye-bye. Russell, are you there?
Hey, how you doing, Andrea?
Lord, it's a day. How are you, sir?
Well, any day above ground is a good day.
I believe you.
No matter what's going on.
What can I do for you?
I have three comments. My first comment, I'm just going to make my comments and hang up, but my first comment is there's a lot of white supremacists running around in our neighborhoods all over this city in trucks with machine guns and stuff. You know, the police caught one of them, but I'm saying how many of them that's not caught that is posted up and waiting for Trump that stand down and stand by thing. That's my first comment. My second comment is we've been in this country 400 years. Why we don't have our own black political party? And why are we not trying to start one? My third comment is I don't understand how Trump is trying to make an issue about the election when he don't have no proof of anything. Why the courts even allow him to file a petition, I have no idea. It just behooves me how the court system in this country works when it should be working for us, is working against us. You have no proof. If I was to bring charges against you, I would have to have proof for that. I don't have no proof. They're going to tell me to take a walk. Why is he doing it?
Privilege, sir, privilege. Thank you so much for calling in, okay?
Have a
All
blessed
right.
day.
You too, hon. Bye-bye. All right, Gary from Southwest.
Hello, Andrea. How are you?
Lord.
You know what? I wanted to say that previous caller, he was on point about that in his last comments. But what I wanted to say is I'm holding my nose. It's like I'm glad the Democratic Party won, okay? But here's the thing. We've been loyal to this party for I don't know how long, and we have to demand, not ask, we have to demand more. I'm tired of us getting out, giving our vote to individuals who aren't really working for us. And that's the truth. And what that gentleman said earlier, the previous call about a black party, I'm 150% in agreement with him. Because what we do, we get played between the two. Yes, we look at the Republicans as the bad guy, the evil guy, so we run to the Democrats. But look at the history. What is
you don't have to tell Mother now. I'm looking at the history. And quite frankly,
go ahead.
There's some days, Gary, I think the Democrats do less for us, honestly.
Okay, so you took the words out of my mouth already. See, you're taking my words. But I'm going to say this. Until we wake up and be more sophisticated, just like when we talk about crime, a white boy can have an assault weapon, and I've seen I've seen several just try to talk him down. A black man has nothing in his hand. He gets shot 14 times. The injustice is so deep. And I'm going to go back to what I always say, police officers evolved from slavery. They were slave patrols. Yes, we have some issues. We have some mental and physical issues. And part of the reason for us having a lot of those mental issues is because of the extreme oppression we face since being in this country. The other part is they don't teach the true history in school to our children. We're a brilliant people. We created modern society. They want to flip the script and say, oh, we were just slaves singing Negro spirituals and asking for the white man to give us a break. That is not true. That is not true at all. And I can't see, or I don't understand how, in a major city, even like Philly, and even across the nation, we don't have the true history taught in our schools. Something is extremely wrong with that.
Yeah, all sorts of excuses. I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like it in my life.
And I want to say this, I don't want to offend anybody, but we know who controls the media. Now, I'm not even going to say who they are, but I think if most of us with reasonable intelligence knows who controls the media and what's published and what's allowed to be heard. And I'm tired of my people having to suffer at the hands of our oppressors, but then they want to blame the victim. Yes, we have that. They use that term, black on black crime. I hate that term. They don't say that when it's white people going against one another. They want to treat us like we're less than human and we're animals. We're the most brilliant people walking on this planet. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. You have a good one, okay? All right, you're welcome. I have to take another break. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk media. He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I spent the first hour talking to the WURD listeners and thanking them for just being amazing in this election cycle, whether we agreed or disagreed. Let me take the brother Spread Love. How are you, sir?
God bless her, John's love, man. Respect, Mama Andrea. How do you guys say, Mama?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Give God the glory. You know, we're Irish, really true, but plenty of people in our suffering, so I always bear them in heart, you know?
Yes. Yes.
Reality. And pure politician, I'm just a general.
For someone who is not Jamaican, you certainly know our language.
Jamaica, everyone, Mama, everyone Jamaican. But I'm going to talk Yankee now so the people can hear me.
All right.
Give thanks. God bless the brother Mike, always on the boards doing an amazing job. The WURD family, all the victims, you know, our heart starts prayers, always are with them. And everyone working to make it better. God bless us to get it together. And we're bringing it back again, Mama. The slogan is, everybody help somebody. Don't nobody hurt nobody. And don't nobody harm nobody. We get that done one day, believe you me, we'll have some things accomplished. I feel. Sir. But now, I'm going to keep it brief, because I know you got things to do. Thank you for your show. It's a full house. Happy to hear from everyone. I pray everyone be well.
Yes.
I'm always happy to hear Mama Mary. She pushed the telephone button.
Yeah.
Turns me on. Listen, Mama, check this out, right? Earlier today, I was listening to Charles Ellis's show, and a lady reminded me how I believe it was one of her family members and their cellmate, incarcerated, get to listen to WURD.
Wow.
So I just want to shout out to everyone incarcerated, or as we say, everyone that's been a captive, you know?
Yes, yes, yes,
you
yes,
know,
yes.
God bless y'all and your hearts to make it through the day, and God willing, if it can make it better for tomorrow, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir. You have a good one, okay?
One more thing real quick, and liberation for all the people. But there's a conversation that be coming on from time to time. People be asking, are we still enslaved? I look at it like this. Back in the days of quote-unquote bona fide slavery or enslavement, we had those of us who were quote-unquote free and those of us who were quote-unquote enslaved. And I look at it now, we have those of us who are quote-unquote free and we have those of us who are quote-unquote incarcerated, certainly those incarcerated falsely. So it's similar in some ways. And just remember, while we're jumping for joy, the down pressers are still down pressing. And how do we know this ain't all choreographed and scripted like professional wrestling? I'm going to leave it at that. More love.
All right. Thank you. One love, my brother. Take it easy. All right. Bye-bye. All right. So I am so excited. And I have a deep and profound respect for this next person. I have only spoken to him twice. The first time I interviewed him, the second time I may have spoken to him in passing at some event that CCP was having, is none other than Dr. Donald Generals, CCP president. He became the 6th president of the Community College of Philadelphia on July 1st, 2014, and he serves on numerous boards in Philadelphia, including the Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. He earned his EDD in social and philosophical foundations of education at Rutgers University. And what else do I want to do? I want to get to talking to him. So I think that's it. Hi, Dr. Generals.
Hello, Andrew. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome, sir. Listen, I think I talk about CCP at least once a week, at least. And before COVID, And before COVID struck, I was having your students on, right, talking about the things that are going on over there. I find you to be, sir, a remarkable leader, and I don't say that lightly. I've been watching you. I've been watching you since I sat in your office that day and had a conversation with you when I was interviewing you when you were on the precipice of a strike, right, in your college. I watched how you managed how that entire thing went on, but more importantly, I listened to what you said and didn't say. It was very clear to me that you have a heart not just for young people, but you have a heart for Black people in general. Talk to the WURD listeners who may not have known anything about you other than you're the Community College of Philadelphia president. How did you get to the place where you are today, sir? What are the steps that you had to take to get here?
So you read the bio. I've been on this journey for over 35 years, working in communities, primarily, communities of color. My focus and my expertise, if you will, has been in urban education because I do believe education is the difference maker. It is transformative. It transforms individuals as well as communities and cities at large. And so I've been in Philadelphia for a little over 6 years and jumped right in and try to immerse myself in the challenges that our communities are confronted with. We've got wonderful students. I try to engage our students in the challenges of the communities, and I think you may have seen some of this in the election where our students got heavily involved in hashtag CCP vote. They were registering other students, their peers. They were out in the communities. They worked the polls. They were ward captains. So it's the type of education that I think enables students to see the relationship between what they're learning in class and how that education can benefit them as individuals as well as their community. And that's what I try to do. That's my expertise. That's where my dissertation lies, in this progressive model of education.
Yes,
So,
and it shows up because while other colleges were telling students that they had to show, you gave your students the day off, correct? Because I ran into quite a few of them at the polls, and they were working the polls.
That's correct. The only thing is we called it a day of service. It wasn't a day off, but they needed to get out there in the streets and hit the pavement and do the work that was necessary to turn out the votes that we are all so grateful for the city of Philadelphia. I've been getting calls from around the country thanking Philadelphia for the work that was done to turn out that vote to get Joe Biden elected. So I believe our students played a major part in that as well. Our students and our faculty. Our faculty were very much involved as well.
I agree. I concur. There is a level of caring in that campus, on the campus for the students there. And even when speaking to the faculty members, just they care about what happens to those young people. So now let me just go into what's happening at CCP these days, because I've been following you, right? Megan keeps putting out the press releases, and I'm going, they're doing what now? You just seem to be progressively getting better. When you got to CCP, what was the graduation rate? What is it now? What have you changed since you've been there, sir? Hello? Can you hear me? Dr. Generals? I don't know why I can't.
Let me move.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
All right.
Can you hear me
I can
now?
hear you now. I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm in my COVID bunker. I had to move out.
Oh.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So your question, the graduation rate was around 9.5% when I arrived. Now it's approaching 17%. So we're very happy about that. We've transformed our curriculum model school-wide. We've developed a fairly large workforce development initiative. And on November, we'll be breaking ground on our new 70,000 square foot Career and Advanced Tech Center. So we're all very excited about that in terms of the educational training and education that we will be able to provide the city. The Cato Scholarship in partnership with the mayor, we're able to offer graduates of Philadelphia high schools last solid tuition, which effectively enables them to come to school for free. But more importantly, we're also getting a supplement of support in terms of counseling and advising and tutorial support, peer tutoring, and so forth. So we're really, really excited about that. And it's up and running. To your listening audience, if you have somebody or if you know somebody that
You're breaking up, Dr. General. Sir?
Is that better?
No, I keep hearing this shuffling noise, and you're breaking up.
It's not good. Let me. Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I know sometimes it can be a struggle with the Wi-Fi, but I want people to hear you, because if people have a student that would like to go to CCP and they qualify to go for free, I'd like them to be able to get to you.
Right. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay. So we've dropped the Wi-Fi. We're on Verizon now.
Okay. Okay.
So we're recruiting students right now. Dr. David Thomas is running the program for us. We just hired a director, Dr. April Vaughts, new to the city, not new to the area, but new to the city, and they're recruiting and preparing students for the spring semester. So to your listening audience, again, if you have someone who's trying to decide about what to do, especially during this pandemic, send them our way, because if they graduated a Philadelphia high school, they will effectively be able to come to the college and get an associate's degree for free.
Wow, an associate's
So we're very excited about that. And we are we're one of maybe 23 states in the country that are offering a totally free community college, which, we were especially and personally excited about the Biden victory, because, as you know, the Biden, especially Dr. Jill Biden, are big proponents for free tuition for community colleges. So we think this can only be a good thing for the college and ultimately the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for highlighting that piece. What is your ultimate goal now? The other thing that I noticed about you is that you have worked brilliantly with community leaders and with businesses to continue to help the community college. I know the free tuition piece with the Cato Scholarship is really in partnership with your working with the mayor and with city council and with other business leaders, right?
That's correct.
Talk to people about what that collaboration looks like, because folks think they should just open up their mouth and say, I want, and that they get it, right? What did you have to offer to them, or what was the conversation about to get them to the place where this huge collaboration happened?
Well, I think the conversation was the love for the city and the understanding that education is the way to turn around the inequities in the city, to turn around the poverty rate in the city. We all realized that education had to be central to the efforts to move the needle with regards to poverty and unemployment. And, it comes down to we all had common interests, and being able to communicate and identify what the problems were. Specifically, the cost of higher ed is not unique to Philadelphia. That's a problem nationwide. The mayor especially really stepped up. He's a huge proponent of education. He really stepped up, and his team and our team got together and came up with this program, which we feel not only pays for their tuition, but also paves the way by way of the support services that they will receive as well. So it's transformative. 100 years ago, people had to pay to go to high school. So this is something whose time has come. The idea of at least a community college, if not a complete four-year college, whereby you're not in a position where you have to bankrupt yourself or go into debt for 40 or 50 years to pay for it. It's only fair that people have an opportunity and access to the middle class of our society. And the primary way for that to happen is through education. So our partners, we're all in this together. We all work together. The mayor's office, city council, the business community, with the chamber. We all have the same interest in mind, and so we're just collectively trying to make a difference.
All right. So clearly I'm a fan of the Community College of Philadelphia and what you all have been able to accomplish since you've been there and during your tenure. Here's my last question for you, because I don't want to take up all your time. The elections just happened, and we see that black and brown people have reached a crossroads, right? We were the ones that put Joe Biden into office and Kamala Harris. And as a leader, as a black leader, how did you, let me think of how I wanted to say this to you. What practices did you put in place, sir, to keep you focused on what you had to do despite the challenges that came your way first as a black man right? And as a man that's leading such a large institution.
What practices did I
Yes,
have
what
to
practices you put implement? Yes.
I think the main.
I'm losing you again.
Gives the illusion that this is purely the Guy General's show. So I'm standing on the shoulders of people that have done a lot for the college prior to my arrival. So that's one thing. What I tried to do was craft a vision and to bring all of that greatness and coalesce it around a vision of changing the community, of becoming the best community college in the country. There's a prize that community colleges can aspire to, the Aspen Prize, which looks at all of the measures of student success and teaching effectiveness, and makes a determination as to who the best community college is in the country. So in a very tangible way, I'm trying to go from good to great. And I think that vision, along with the vision of how the community college can significantly change the trajectory of the city and the communities in which it serves, is what I try to do. Some of the more specific strategies, like I said, we transformed the way we provide education, where we are what's referred to as a guided pathways institution, meaning when you come to us, it's not a cafeteria model of courses that you kind of take and meander through, and at some point you eventually collect enough credits to graduate. When you come to us, we begin talking about a career right from the beginning. Right. So we package a collection of courses. We align you with those programs. The support services are aligned with those programs, so everything is centered around the student as opposed to the college. So I think I did that. I changed the way you provide education and support services away from the idea that, it's about the college. It really, secondarily is, but primarily it's about the student and what we can do to put the student at the center of our activities and all of our efforts. So I think that's what I've tried to do, and that's built in the message that I've tried to deliver. And I think we have had some success so far. We've got a long way to go, but we've had success, and we're beginning to get traction, and I'm very optimistic about the future.
At some point, sir, and I don't know if you're doing this yet, at some point I'd like you to consider teaching leadership courses. You, when I asked you the question, the first thing you said to me was, I stand on the shoulders of people who have done this work before me. And so you walk with humility, collaboration, right? And making sure that others feel a part of the process. That's the mark of excellent leadership. There's a woman from Delaware County, Ms. Jackson, who asked to speak with you. Can you hold on for a second, please?
Sure.
Ms. Jackson, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. My question is, the scholarship only for Philadelphia students?
It is. It's for Philadelphia students who graduated from one of the high schools. So it doesn't have to be the public school. It can be any of the high schools, but it has to be a Philadelphia high school.
It has to be a Philadelphia. That's my question, because I was calling for my grandson who just graduated. All right. Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome, Ms. Jackson. Dr. Generals, what I am hoping is that other community colleges around the country will be able to implement the same practices that you all have done with the collaboration with the city and with the mayor and city council, because you can hear the disappointment in her voice, right?
Yeah.
It's tough. I just want to thank you.
Again, I think it's an idea whose time has come, and eventually it will occur across the nation. You remember Barack Obama really pushed for this. It kind of, obviously, the Trump administration gave it no air, but now that we're back with the Bidens and, the view that community colleges are central to the economic and social upward mobility of our entire nation, I think there will come a point when community colleges across the nation are free. So just hold on. It's just a matter of time.
All right. Dr. Guy General, CCP, Community College of Philadelphia President, thank you so much for creating space. Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you so much for creating space for us. Have a good one.
To you.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, my goodness. That was a good one. I've always wanted to talk to Dr. Generals outside of interviewing him for a newspaper, because he stayed quiet. He's very quiet, I think. He doesn't draw a lot of attention to himself, but he's really incrementally creating shifts and changes for the college while he is there, because we don't know how long he's going to be there. And it's not an easy thing to do. But when I talk to the students, and I've consistently spoken to CCP students, either interviewed them on the air or spoken to them on the street, they've all said the wraparound services are amazing. And they're offering free tuition for students graduating from a Philadelphia high school. Just reach out to them, please. Go to their ccp.edu and just look on their website and see where you can find it, right? Because free is still free all day long, and sometimes on Sundays. All right, Olanian, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, and I wanted to ask the man a question, but he's gone.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
Is he still retrievable? Because I have a book that I wrote, which I like to be available to all students of community colleges.
So I would say go on the website and email him and get the information to him, and they'll reach back out to you. Okay?
Yeah, I've been trying for years to get this book to community colleges, and when I call, almost no one knows what I should do next.
Oh, all right. So I know who to reach out to. I'm going to reach out to I know someone to reach out to. Do me a favor. Email me, please. I'm going to give you my email address, okay?
Okay, well, let me write it down. Who's going to give it to me?
All right.
Okay.
All right. It's A.L. Sanders. A.L. So A as in apple, L as in lollipop, SANDERS at WURDradio.com.
WURDradio.com. Okay, and I'll even add in the book to you so you can have a copy of it.
Oh, listen, I thank you, but you don't have to. If you want to give the books out to, get the book to them, that's fine. But I just want to make sure that we give you access to someone who can speak to you, okay?
Okay, so I'll send that today. Thank you.
All right. Oh, you're quite welcome. Have a good one.
Right. You too.
All right, bye-bye. So, wow, this show has been going on. The next person that's going to be on is the chief defender for the Philadelphia Defenders Association, Keir Bradford Gray. I'm going to take a break, and then I'll come back and I'll talk to you about a couple of things about Kamala Harris. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. Oh, I forgot. Woody, if you are listening, call into the show, please. I have boxes of books for you. Someone called and said they have boxes of books for you for your barbershop. And for the life of me, I wrote down the address of the barbershop 50,000 times. They want to get them out to you, and I can't remember it. So can you please call into the radio station so we can get these books to you? Again, you are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com. This Veterans Day vignette is brought to you by PICO.
African American women in the military during World War II. In recognition of Veterans Day, WURD Radio celebrates the African American women who served in the military during World War II. In May of 1942, the Women's Army Corps accepted its first 39 African American women, often referred to as Black Rosie the Riveters. Black women who served in the military during World War II played a key role in war production. Overcoming Jim Crow, racial and gender discrimination, the African American women who served were revered by their families and were able to contribute to financial growth for their communities in ways that were unprecedented at that time. Their work often lives in the shadows, but many of the Black women who were in the military during World War II are our mothers, grandmothers, aunts, who the United States could not have won World War II without. As we continue to fight for racial justice today, WURD Radio celebrates the African American women in the military during World War II and other Black Americans who have served and continue to serve this country.
This Veterans Day vignette was brought to you by PICO, powering communities. This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. The Source Education Hour, which started at 2 p.m., is brought to you by Internet Essentials from Comcast. High-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit internetessentials.com to learn more. And this is perfect because we had Dr. Generals in at the 2 o'clock hour. So thank you, Comcast, for all you're doing for us on this end. Let me just make sure that I have, it's kind of hard to see all of this stuff. So Haley Stephen Alston wrote, "Hey, Andrea, how about asking the community college president about the educational disparities among our Black youth, particular to Philadelphia, and or potential solutions a la the Woody proposal?" So, Haley, yes, that's part of the reason why they're doing the kinds of things that they're doing over at community college. And I only know because I spent so much time exploring. And so I'm someone who likes to, what's the word that I'm looking for? I like to research. And after being in that college the first time, I've spent a lot of time researching what's going on there. So not only when the students come to them, if they're not prepared, they have all these wraparound services for them. The criminal part of it is they shouldn't have to have all the wraparound services because the students should be prepared. So really the K-12 institution is where we are. And as much as we talk about funding for the schools, and yes, the schools need funding, and yes, the buildings need to be fixed, and on and on and on, what does it cost to teach a child to read? If you're in the school with a child and you're working with a child, why do we have so many children who are not able to read? I absolutely agree with Woody on that. And what I don't want us to see us do is to keep passing the baton around. Whether it's because we don't have any money, whether it's because this and because that, and because something is broken somewhere. And you also can't blame it on each superintendent that walks in the door, because each superintendent that comes in is inheriting the same stuff, right? So somewhere in there we need to rustle up the folks, people who have been in the positions that have not changed much or done anything except to say that they have positions. And again, it's all part of leadership in this city, right? So we have a lot of work to do. We have a ton of work to do. I'm waiting for Kia Bradford to call in. She'll call in around 2:30. But at 3 o'clock, we have Shakita Gaines and Sierra Freeman, the president and vice president of the Philadelphia Home and School Council. And, look, there's some current concerns here. People want to talk about what those concerns are. So if you stay tuned, you'll be able to hear some of that. So while I'm waiting for Chief Defender Keir Gray to call in, I want to give you some highlights here. There was an article written by Marie Claire, November 6, 2020, about Kamala Harris's dad, Donald Harris, and a renowned Stanford professor. Who is he? And they talked about that he had strong words for a joke she once made about Jamaica. Essentially, the joke was someone asked her if she had ever smoked weed as a young person at Howard or whatever, and she said, "Well, I'm from Jamaica. What do you think?" or whatever she said. And he took personal offense to it. Here is a man that is brilliant. He is brilliant. Her mother was brilliant. Her mother died in 2009. She has a sister, right? And one of the things I'm going to tell you about Jamaican parents is this, and I am speaking absolutely now from experience. Achieving is expected of us in a way that goes beyond the pale. So if we get an A on a paper, we couldn't go home and say, look, I got an A, or look, I'm doing this, look, I'm doing that. Our parents didn't play that. It was, we expect it out of you. You're to always practice humility, and you shouldn't come and tell me all that you're achieving. Your work should speak for itself, right? And it's very difficult when you have parents that are entrenched in the kinds of ways where you continue to do things and I can't even find it, because I don't want to malign Jamaican parents. That is not what this is about. I am a Jamaican parent, and because of the way I was raised, all the things that I have achieved that you have all heard me speak about on the air, my parents don't know. My sisters, they force me to tell. I tell them, no, I'm not telling, and then they go off and they tell my parents themselves, and my father will say, all right, be sure to thank God and stay humble. And that's what you get, right? So we are taught not to, quote unquote, brag about our accomplishments, but that with each accomplishment that we have, we continue to build on top of that accomplishment and do other things. So it's a never-ending cycle for us. And so while we know our parents love us, there isn't this, and they will brag about us to their friends. They're not bragging about us to us. I can't describe it to you other than to say that it is incredibly complicated. So here's this man who, his daughter is now the vice president-elect. I am sure they love each other, but it's going to be different from what you would expect. And my husband, in particular, I would talk to him about this kind of stuff, and he would say, why don't you want to tell anybody that you're doing X, Y, and Z? Why don't you want anybody to know you're on the school board? It's all a function of my upbringing, right? We were taught to just do the work, let your work speak for itself, and everything else will work its way through. So I don't want anybody to look at Kamala Harris and her father and think that they don't like each other. It is just a function of the way Jamaican parents are with their children. The expectation is incredibly high, and they just don't, you will not see him come out and say things like, my daughter is X, Y, and Z. He's bragging quietly to his friends and letting his friends know, and that's just the way it is. It's the way it's always been with us. Speaking of Kamala Harris, they were talking about, someone from the Washington Post wrote that her marriage inspires so many of us to still search for our Dougs. And so this was written today at 6 o'clock this morning. It was put out by Lisa Bonas from the Washington Post. And she says there are many groups who see themselves and their struggles in Vice President-elect Kamala D. Harris: women, women of color, black women, people of South Asian descent, children of immigrants, women, all right, good, women in positions of power are those who aspire to such heights, stepmoms, anyone who has ever had to tell a man to stop interrupting them. And I'm going to come back to this because I hear that Chief Defender Kier Bradford Gates on the line. Kier, are you there? Hello?
I am here.
Well, good afternoon. I just want you to know I read your piece at the beginning of the show. And folks, I got calls from, she needs to run for mayor, to
wow.
Yes. Text messages of this sister's going to need more support. We need to get people on the prosecutorial side, that even if you're a progressive, that progressive can only do but so much because of all the other pressures from the police departments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Tell us what made you write this essay that was published with WHYY today.
Thank you, one, for even having me on to talk about this. And thank you so much for always being very supportive of the types of things that I am seeing on this side of the system. Not many people understand how much we can give a report card on the other side and the progressive movement that people believe is happening in our system. And I wrote this piece because race has been at the forefront of reform in the justice system. And I don't mean just talking about it in terms of, how many black people come in here and how many black people keep using it as a revolving door, but I mean as looking at the leadership in our justice system and calling on them to look at the bigotry in our system. One, this really was an offset of a situation, an incident that had happened, I think about a month ago now. Is
this the Cassandra Franklin case?
It is a Cassandra Franklin case.
Okay.
And it was something, Andrea, I could not get out of the pit of my stomach as to why I was so angry, upset, hurt, disappointed, all of those things, and that this could happen in a progressive moment where we have black people who overwhelmingly showed up to cast their votes to have faith in our justice system because we had a progressive district attorney, and that they were going to understand some of the pervasive issues that we have in this system, especially along racial lines. And so when I saw that this chief of homicide could do something that he did, which is usually use the system's weight to settle a beef because he was offended, and that's very eerily similar to Central Park Amy's situation, where she called the justice system because she was offended, and that nothing had been done about it. No.
So wait, stop 1 second. Are you telling me after all the conversation, after it's being sent to the Attorney General's office, that this is still an open case, like nothing's been done?
This is still in the criminal justice system. Some of the charges have been dropped from what Larry's office had initially on this young lady, but the case is still a criminal case. And it's
why?
You know what? That is the question of the century. But I guess why is because the people who label it a crime are those who have severe blind spots about what this system really means for us, and I mean us as black people, and why we don't want to be overrepresented in this system for really minor things that they would never bring their own or people of affluence in this system for. And we are underrepresented in making sure that our communities are safe from the real crime that is plaguing them. So it's like we're not getting our bang for our bargain, right? It's not a win-win situation for black people in criminal justice. We still can't solve violent crime in the neighborhood, and they're overrepresented in the system for things for actions that should not be labeled as criminal, but it's labeled as criminal based on the actor.
So I'm going to revisit this because I spoke to Ms. Cassandra Franklin myself shortly after all of this happened, right here on The Source. And she, from what we could understand, and it was corroborated, I was sent the police filing, all of it. I was sent all of it, right? Did my research. She was driving with her friend home. I just want to be clear because I cannot understand why this woman is facing criminal charges for this. She was on her way home, got to a stoplight when a man pulled up in a motorcycle and was fussing and complaining that she cut him off. So she didn't see him. She's like, okay, I'm sorry. But the man was carrying on and calling him all kinds of names and whatever else. And she said she didn't know who he was. And so she just they kept driving. They were like, we don't know who you are. And you could be any crazy person. And so man kept following them and then took his motorcycle and cut off their car so they couldn't get past him, flashed his badge and told them he was going to have them arrested, whatever, right? And they drove around him because, again, he didn't have on a police uniform. They didn't, all the things we tell our children, right? If they don't present themselves as law officers, then this person got her address, went to her house with a chief police inspector, because I read all of it, right?
With several homicide detectives. I'm sorry.
Yes, right. And when she didn't come out, because they couldn't knock on her door and look for her because it was a traffic incident. It wasn't a crime. And so what they did was decided to tow her car, which pulled her out of her house. She says, why are you towing my car? They tell her car was involved in a homicide, right? So again, using the system, which is what I don't. So when we find out now, and everybody's talking about it, and the gentleman, I can't remember his name, that called in and just really described how it was a miscarriage of justice because this person was angry. Why are we still having criminal charges against this woman?
And Andrea, we have more, because my office represents her, we have more corroborating evidence of what she said, and how even more egregious via video of something that she took the night of, and the things that she was saying before she knew that this was something that they were going to be labeling a crime and putting her in to jail in the system for.
Yes, and they found in her car and all sorts of things because you got cut off in traffic.
Right.
So how does the average black person feel about that? We don't know who is a chief criminal prosecutor. We don't know who these people are. So if you can unilaterally use your power to do this kind of thing, how do we expect people to trust the system? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. And most of the things that happen, this is not an anomaly. You know, if this happened, because the good thing, it was Detective Fisher was called, and he was the one championing this young woman. But other than that, some of these things would never have made the light of day.
Yes.
And so, you know, I do thank the people that found it in their heart to say, you know what, this is wrong, and let me highlight this as something that is pervasive in our system all the time, and being done with actors that we bought into to say, you're part of our progressive approach. And so I'm sorry. It's not like I'm trying to do anything negative to Mr. Krasner or his administration, but quite frankly, you can't keep doing things negative to the communities where people that I care about live there and not get called out on it. And it's time for us to stand up against what reform really needs to look like, because I'm sorry, the things that I'm seeing, and I'm sitting there as an expert on the other side, and nobody bothers to ask us what our take on how this reform is working out for Black people. I think it has to be much better. There has to be a much better commitment to making sure we deal with those actions that are true threats to public safety, and overly labeling them as criminals for things that we would never label our friends with.
Right. Right. It's sad. You know, you and I it's difficult. What gives you what's the impetus for you standing in the gap for people who would never have their voices heard? Because I know this comes at a cost to you. I know you don't just do this and life is just easy and kind. What pushes you to continue speaking up on behalf of the underserved?
So I did this job because I know what it feels like to have family members taken away and being told that their actions are aggressive, are crime-worthy, and you're looking at these people saying, no way, these are my family, these are my folks, and that situation didn't happen in that way. And there's been nothing you can do to unexplain it once it hits the justice system. And I'm not talking about shootings and robberies and, you know, really, really violent crimes. I'm talking about things that I unfortunately saw my cousins, my friends, my brother be whisked away in the justice system when I was living in Boston, and I didn't see my white friends being whisked away for those very same things. So it's something in me that really has a sense of efficacy, that I am going to be the one that makes sure that this justice system is not as bigoted as it is. I mean, obviously I can't do it all by myself, but the more I will do whatever I can to make sure that I erect racism, bigotry, and abuse of power and privilege in this justice system. I don't have those things, and so it makes me prime to fight against it. I've never been able to use privilege to settle a score on someone because I can't. That's not my character, and it's not my access. And quite frankly, I really think that those who have been doing this for so long, it's time for them to be called out.
Mm-hmm. Wow. What does one say to that after that? I'm going to take a quick break and come back, but I want to talk to you about a very similar case happening in Montgomery County right now, where a young boy liked a girl in school, and he was touching her back, touching her hair, you know, like he liked her, and the girl went home and told her parents that he was sexually harassing her. Stuff that children do in schools all the time, right? I like you, you like me, da-da-da-da. They were not together by themselves doing nefarious things. And I got to tell you that the boy was, first of all, he was suspended. And then at the end of the summer, the cops are looking for him to put an ankle bracelet on him to make him a registered sex offender, because the parents filed all sorts of charges, and nobody spoke to the parents to ask them what exactly happened, or even talk to the school, because the school was like, it was a done incident, he was just being a boy, nothing, but it was a black boy and a white girl, right? And so these are the kinds of things that consistently happen to our children, and this is where the trauma starts. And we continually keep saying to our boys, and it's a shame, because they can't be normal teenagers like everybody else.
They are they're looked at as older, more culpable, more aggressive, more violent, and all of those assumptions, those cumulative assumptions that people make about our communities, our young boys, our young girls. Remember, black girls are under attack too.
Yes.
You know, Sandra Bland started out with just a routine traffic violation because she didn't signal. And next thing you know, she ends up in jail, hung. You know, these things are not just anomalies. The way we are treated is traumatic, and trauma is a form of mental health, and it's being inflicted upon us daily by those that we're supposed to trust.
Yes. Hang on one second, Kier. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media.
Enterprise Exterminators, located 4943 Wayne Avenue, specializing in lantern flies, termites, bed bugs, fleas, mice, and roaches. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now, 215-849-7070.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I have on the line with me the Chief Defender of the Philadelphia Public Defenders Association, Kier Bradford Gray, who wrote a brave piece about the justice system from the prosecutorial side of Philadelphia and how maligned the people are of this city. And in the civil rights moment, we really need to do a better job of taking care of our citizens, especially if we consider ourselves to be progressives. Kier, listen, I am beyond grateful for all that you have been doing to help the citizenry in this city. But here's my question for you. What can we do to help you? What supports can we put in place to make sure that our citizens continue, to find good results versus being thrown into the system and locked up for 24 hours and having their car impounded because someone was upset because they got cut off in traffic? Like, that's not even a criminal act.
Right. Well, I would say we have to use our voice more. We have to check in to see what is going on in our justice system. And I have town halls, community town halls, periodically for questions about what we are seeing and what we need communities' help in pushing back on. We're not asking anybody to be reckless. We do know that there are dangerous, violent crimes in our city, and we're not asking for that not to be dealt with in the justice system. We're just making sure that the people who are in this system, who are supposed to be protecting and serving communities, who are supposed to be making good decisions on what's best for communities, understand the needs of the community that they work on behalf of and really deal with their blind spots as it relates to their bias, but also their unwillingness to check the privilege of their own circle of friends and circle of advisors. And so I would say you've been doing exactly what you can. You've been amplifying these messages, you've been amplifying these incidents, and you've been putting and shining a light on a very non-transparent system that, but for Janice Armstrong, really, and then you taking the mental, there would have never been any real understanding of what happened here. I say this, when you read what happened with this woman, you see Central Park Amy in it.
Yep.
Just done by actually an actor in the system and not someone outside the system weaponizing their privilege. And so it is a little bit, it's even worse. And it's even worse that it's under a progressive prosecutor who I think has a good heart but I do think has a lot of blind spots that he needs to deal with, and he needs to recognize. And let your ego go. Let's figure out where we need to be and gather the intel, make sure you have transitional teams, make sure you have whoever you need that can bring forth information that you don't have. And so, I think it's still something that we're looking at with Biden. You know, he won, but, you know, Biden is a white male, and he's always been one. And while he's had hardship, yes, he's never been held back or never been labeled because of his race and because of his gender. And so it's good that he has someone who's going to be there to fill those gaps. And I do think Larry and our justice system leaders need the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're getting ready to shift dramatically, because it always feels, Janice Armstrong, myself, you, it always feels like the black women have just bravely stood in the gap to highlight the things that are going on. And we're not always thanked for it, and sometimes we're pulled off to the side and said, you can't do that. Well, who says you can't do it? If we don't speak up about what we see going on that is wrong in our communities, then what good are we, right? Are we there for self-service, or are we here to make sure that people are getting what they need? This is why the city is in such dire straits, right? And so I'm hoping that as people listen to us talk to each other, that more people find their voice. More people find the courage to stand up and say, no, you can't do this. More people make phone calls and say, all right, this is what's going on. We need to do some research. How can we make a change for such and such and such and such and such? Because just complaining alone is not enough, right? You've stood in the gap. You've gone and done what you're supposed to do to help this young lady, and many more, countless more, right? And when I read the cases of people, of white folks who have, you know, oh Lord, attacked police officers, you know, pull guns on police officers, alive and well, just having themselves a good old time. You find police officers and this is, I'm not making this stuff up. This is court documents. Right? $35,000 worth of weed in their car and guns and ammunition, robbing folks and are allowed to walk out and go back home to their parents' house. How do we justify doing that with white children, or running one of the largest drug rings in Lower Merion, and when they got to court, the judge says they're young people, we shouldn't punish them. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Major drug ring.
That's right. And Andrea, we have to remember and recognize how damaging the justice system is for our opportunity. And this is what I have vowed to talk about, or to really amplify when I do this role and position. The justice system is one of our largest civil rights movements. Recognize how entanglement with this system really comes from quality of life. Even if you couldn't be in here, then we are really going to lose a moment that we can truly have some reparation in making sure that our quality of life is not hindered by the lifetime brand of criminal, especially when we don't deserve it, and other people are far more deserving than we are. And so I really am grateful to you, who your purpose is bigger than the job. You want to make sure that when we get in these leadership roles, we use it for the efficacy that we bring to the role. Or else, like you said, we're just occupying space, and it's time for us to move over and let someone else do it.
Absolutely. Chief Defender Keir Bradford Gray, I know you have other things going on. I want to thank you, and I'd like to be able to revisit this conversation in the upcoming weeks and months as I go up to sit on the police commission at the Harrisburg level. I'd like to draw on your expertise for some of the things that I can talk to Governor Wolf about, because we have so much going on down here. And if reform means the advisory commission, if that means that we start to look at some of the practices and say, this is what's happening here, how do we shift and change things over there, then that's what we're going to do. I so appreciate your bravery in this moment.
Can I leave you with one more thing? This woman did actually file a complaint against the police department, which the Police Advisory Commission should have been able to get an understanding of what's going on. And that's another reason why oversight was on the ballot, because quite frankly, when Hans Minos reached out, he got nothing. And you know, the police in this were just as culpable, because you went to this woman's house as a homicide detective, and you arrested her, and you treated her horribly, and she sat in jail for over 24 hours, and her car was impounded. She couldn't get it out until 5 to 6 days later. She has a son. She's here alone. All of these things you perpetuated, and you need to be dealt with too. I'm sorry. So I do wish and hope that the AG's office does the right thing and lets this case out of this system. But I also hope that these officers have to explain why they did what they did as well.
Thank you so much. I fully appreciate you. And we're going to keep following this case, okay? Oh, you're welcome, honey. We're going to keep following this case, okay?
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye. Ooh, my Lord, my Lord. The Source Education Hour was brought to you by Internet Essentials from Comcast, high-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit InternetEssentials.com to learn more. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Hey, WURD family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Helana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. Many of us have heard this term before, but may not know what it really means. Compassionate living brings mindfulness and peace to the center of your daily life. Compassionate living can look like this. Number 1, be gentle with yourself and those around you. Number 2, choose to speak kindly to others, even when you're upset. Number 3, become a good listener and practice empathy at home and at work. We sometimes think in order to live with compassion, we have to become someone else. Not so. In fact, allowing peacefulness to be at the center of our daily interactions is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at WURDradio.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
A new president. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris pull ahead in Pennsylvania and win the presidency. We want to hear your reactions. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, and watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, we have had a plethora of conversation. The first hour was spent thanking all the WURD listeners for the hard work that they put in for the elections. And so the first hour was dedicated to you guys, and you called in and gave your opinions one way or the other about the elections. I just wanted to say thank you, whether you voted one way or the other. Didn't matter to me. I just want to make sure that you voted, and I believe that WURD Radio and the hosts and the producers played a good part in making sure that you guys got out and did what you needed to do. The second hour I had, which was sponsored by Comcast Essentials, I had Dr. Donald Generals from the Community College of Philadelphia. He's the president. We had a good conversation there, and at 2:30, where he talked about free college for a full-time student. Anyone living in Philadelphia, graduating from a Philadelphia high school, will be able to go to college for free the community college for free and earn an associate's degree for free, as well as talk about some of the other programming that has been going on at the community college of Philadelphia. And then at 2:30, I spoke to Chief Defender Keir Bradford Gray from the Philadelphia Public Defenders Association, which is the 5th largest defenders association in the country. And we had a good conversation about a piece, an essay that she wrote about the justice system not being fair, in essence talking about the young lady Cassandra Franklin, who was stopped by the chief homicide prosecutor because he was aggrieved because she cut him off in traffic and she didn't know that he was cut off, and what ensued there created something that this woman ended up being in jail, her car impounded for something that was really a traffic stop, right? And so now it's been pushed up to the Attorney General's office. Josh Shapiro has just been reelected as the Attorney General, and I am hoping and praying that somebody will look at this case and say, at the very least, this is not a criminal case, and boot it out the system. And then at the most, that we start to look at the practices of people when we have privileges and we use those privileges to harm folks in our communities because we can, right? We all have a certain amount of privileges, some of us more than others, but we have to, as leaders, be very mindful about what we do and how we do it. And just, ego, man, ego. I had a conversation on another radio show because I contribute to different places, and was talking about that, right? That when the ego steps in, when we allow ourselves to think, well, I am such and such, and don't you know who I am? And you better do what I tell you to do, otherwise I'm going to make your life a living hell. When you do that kind of stuff when you're in a leadership position, it begs to, for me, I beg to pardon you and say, look, you don't deserve to be in a leadership position if you're going to use it to harm others simply because you feel aggrieved. When we become leaders, our leadership roles demand that we work to understand what's happening around us. We seek to understand instead of always wanting to be understood. And we use those leadership positions with humility, right? Because you see what's going on in this country, and we're just at the tipping point now. So we have to be very careful. And I'm not just talking about the chief homicide prosecutor. I'm talking about anybody that's in a leadership position. That's city council, that's mayor, that's attorney general, all of us, and myself included, right? When I come on the air every single day, I have to be very mindful that I have a platform and that I'm using that platform in a way that will enlighten and educate people and not just go off the cuff, right? So there's a lot of research that happens. Before I get on the air with you all, I spend a good several hours. I'm reading, people are sending me things, I'm looking at police reports, folks are giving me what I need to have so that I can make informed decisions and sound enough so that I can have these kinds of conversations with you, right? But it takes bravery. It takes bravery because there are folks who will know this information and will not talk about it because this is, well, you know, I don't want anybody to, and I don't want to, and, you know, and all the things we tell ourselves why we can't do the right things when the right things are what's necessary to make sure that us people have equal and fair justice under the law at all times. And if you are not going to prosecute one group of people for breaking the law, and not even break, it was a traffic stop. That's the part that I can't seem to get past. It wasn't even a traffic stop. She cut off somebody she didn't know she had cut off, and it turned into her being arrested, with the people showing up at her house, waiting for her, impounding her car, telling her that it was a part of a homicide, you know, use all sorts of things to get her out of her house. And then when she came out, they locked her up. And the things that was said to her, thank God for Mr. Fisher, who got a phone call and stepped in. And that's what I'm saying. When you see something and you hear something, do something. Don't just sit on it. So it's 3 o'clock. I am waiting for the other, my last two guests to call in. But I'm going to do a little bit of reading here. If someone knows where Woody is, please tell him to call the show and give his address again because I have boxes of books for him. I was talking about this piece that was written in the Washington Post by Lisa Bonos that says that Kamala Harris was in her late 40s when she met Doug. And she says they had one date and he wasted no time. And he says, I'm too old to play games or hide the ball. He said in an email, which included his schedule for the next couple of months. I really like you and want to see if we can make this work. And so they did. They worked together, and so it was her first marriage in her late 40s, his second marriage. But, you know, listen, for those of you who are wanting to get married and trying to find your Mr. Right, he or she is out there. for you. Just don't give up. Keep doing what you're doing. And it's hard when you are in leadership positions too to date, because you just can't just date anybody, right? Thank God I met Mr. before. No, because I was doing the things that I was doing, but folks just didn't know what I was doing. So it was easy to date him, and folks didn't know, right? From the Washington Post again, the love affair between Fox News and Trump may be over. Here's how it ended last week, and I watched that thing implode myself. This was written by Sarah Ellison and Josh Dawsey. This came out at 11:27 a.m. this morning. The last day of Donald Trump's 2020 presidential campaign began just after 7 a.m. as polls opened on the East Coast with a call to Fox and Friends, the television morning show that had turned the reality star into a United States president. He got his heroes welcome, but it was no longer enough. This has been a very special show for me, he told the host of his broadcasting safe haven, where he had workshopped his birther message, shared gossip and conspiracy theories, and repeatedly set the tone for his entire administration's day. We have had a great relationship, and you have a great show, so it's my honor. But his remarks quickly turned pointed that early Tuesday morning as he boasted about how well he had done in the job of president despite unexpected challenges. Not China, he said, or Russia or North Korea, but the United States. And what had changed the most for him since 2016, he mused rhetorically. Fox, he said, answering his own question, it's much different now. As the host sputtered, he elaborated. In the old days, they wouldn't put sleepy Joe Biden every time he opened his mouth. It's a much different operation, I'm just telling you. It was the last day of the campaign. Fox had done so much to support, but it was a preview of the war, now 1 week old, but months in the making, that may have permanently ruptured the bond between President Trump and his once favorite television channel. As he faces expulsion from the White House, Trump has vowed revenge on the network that propelled his political career, according to close White House aides, perhaps by publicly attacking Fox or undermining its business model by endorsing its competitor. So there you have it. Let's see. From our news source here, from Dee Patel, who sends it to us in Washington, Democrat Joe Biden defeated President Donald Trump, which we all know by now, to become the 46th president of the United States on Saturday, positioning himself to be a leader who seeks not to divide, but to unify a nation gripped by a historic pandemic and a confluence of economic and social turmoil. I sought this office to restore the soul of America, said Biden in a primetime victory speech not far from his Delaware home, and to make America respected around the world again, and to unite us here at home. And quite frankly, the entire world was celebrating. I'd never seen anything like it. His victory came after more than 3 days of uncertainty as election officials sorted through a surge of mailing votes that delayed processing. Biden crossed the winning threshold of 270 electoral college votes with a win in Pennsylvania. Kamala Harris, her journey from Berkeley to vice president to become the first black Asian woman elected to the vice presidency. Kamala Harris made history Saturday as the first black woman elected as vice president of the United States, shattering barriers that have kept men, almost all of them white, entrenched at the highest levels of American politics for more than 2 centuries. The 56-year-old California senator, also the first person of South Asian descent elected to the vice presidency, represents the multiculturalism that defines America but is largely absent from Washington's power centers. Her black identity has allowed her to speak in personal terms in a year of reckoning over police brutality and systemic racism. As the highest-ranking woman ever elected in American government, her victory gives hope to women who were devastated by Hillary Clinton's defeat 4 years ago. Harris has been a rising star in Democratic politics for much of the last 2 decades, serving as San Francisco's district attorney and California's attorney general before becoming a U.S. senator. After Harris ended her own 2020 Democratic presidential campaign, Joe Biden tapped her as his running mate. They will be sworn in as president and vice president on January 20th, 2021. And WURD listeners, if I have my way, I've already been tapped to cover some of the inauguration events, so I'm looking forward to that. Council members, Pennsylvania elected officials celebrate movement victory in 2020 presidential race and looks forward to what comes next. These last 2 articles were written by the first one was the Philadelphia Tribune, and the second one was 6ABC Politics. This one and the Philadelphia Tribune. Philadelphia, council members Ellen Gim at large, Kendra Brooks at large, Jamie Gautier, 3rd District, State Representative Chris Robb, 200th District, and Elizabeth Fielder, 184th District, both of Philadelphia, and State Representatives Sarah Inamaroto, 21st District, and Summer Lee, 34th District, both of Allegheny County, State Senator-elect Nicole Saval, 1st District, and State Representative-elect Rick Krajewski, very good, Andrea, 188th District, issued the following statement on Pennsylvania's critical role in the presidential election and the importance of protecting the results. And I quote, "The people have won. Pennsylvania has delivered the key blow against Donald Trump. We won because an unbeatable movement of working people of all races, genders, ages, and backgrounds spent years building strong infrastructure throughout our communities across Pennsylvania. This year, the people showed that we write history. Tens of millions of us took to the streets in a historic mass movement to fight racism." Someone's calling it onto my, cut them off, please, Michael. Someone's trying to call into the Skype, and I believe it's coming in through WURD. Tens of millions of us took to the streets in a historic mass movement to fight racism and declare Black Lives Matter. In the face of a global pandemic and inhumane federal neglect, our communities came together. Thousands of union members, young people, immigrants, and community activists expanded our movements and led the fight for our future. Our movements didn't come together just to defeat Trump. They led this fight to reclaim power from the billionaire-led ruling class. They led this fight to build a world in which every person has housing and health care, good jobs and dignified wages, a world with justice for Walter Wallace Jr. and equal justice for all people, with world-class education and genuine immigration reform, and a clean, livable future. That was written by sent out by the Philadelphia Tribune. So let me just, oh, they're calling in. So do I answer them, Michael? They're about to Skype in. Okay, got it. All right, so call them in, let them in. Home and school president, and she's a proud mother of 4 beautiful and bright children, 2 girls and 2 boys. Michael, I don't know what's going on, so you have to tell me what's happening here with this group, because I can't see from this end. Both of her daughters now attend community college, while her sons attend Philadelphia public and cyber charter schools. Currently, she's serving the Philadelphia community as the president of the Philadelphia Home and School Council, which is a volunteer 30-hour-a-week position. She's also an intensive case manager for homeless and housed veterans, an advocate for parents and students, and active here with this because I can't see them. Both of them now attend community college, while her son attends mute your phone, please. The Philadelphia community as the president of the Philadelphia Home and School. There you go.
Hi, love.
Hi, how are you, sweetie pie?
I miss you, Queen. I miss you so much. I can't wait to hold you in my arms again.
Guys, too. I miss you. You know, COVID, right? It's COVID. And so
yes.
We all have to. You're looking cute, though, in these corner streets.
Thank you. I try to keep up on your level.
So listen, I heard a story that made me quiver. And so I asked if I could talk to you. Is Sierra coming on too?
Sierra is coming on.
Okay, so once Michael will put her on when, we get to there. Explain to people what happened. So Walter Wallace was shot and killed, and then something happened. Tell the WURD listeners what happened and how you ended up getting involved.
Okay, so what happened was a week prior to Walter Wallace actually being murdered in the streets, we got a check from Acme for $10,000 to support West Philly. Then it happened, and I caught wind of it 15 minutes after it happened, and I was one of the first people that actually posted it online. I feel so bad for posting it. I'm so sorry to the family, because you shouldn't have to relive this online. But what happened was we went straight into action. We found out that, you know, stores were closed down. The local community stores, the supermarkets got closed down because of the uprising. And we had to take action. And Sierra, being who she is and very diligent, contacted Mount Airy Groceries, and then she contacted West Philly Produce. And if you don't know who Mr. Arnett is,
I know who he is. Yes.
Man. Exactly. Mr. Arnett is a great man. And they all have been working together. And then we brought in Share Program all together. And in a matter of 3 days, we were able to put out a Google form and ask families who were in need of services to get things delivered. So we were able to feed 300 families and have it delivered to their homes instead of them coming out into the chaos or having to stress about those things. So when I say y'all don't understand how bad I really want to cry about it, because you don't know what these kids are going through or what's happening, but we didn't just do food. We turned around and gave 600 books that were brand new books to the community, because we have to remember that we have to feed the whole child and the whole family. And we want families to actually start, you know, opening up their own libraries and reminding themselves that, you know, reading is fundamental and we need to love one, you know, books and education and all those things. So, yeah.
You know, so listen, on Wednesday, I'm doing a show on Black women leadership. I need you to be on that show. And let me tell you why. We consistently step in the gap. Now, if someone hadn't called me and say, Andrea, are you aware of X, Y, and Z? I would not have known that you all were out here doing this. This is amazing. It's amazing work, right?
Yes.
And we do it, you know, we do it without even thinking about, you know, what's in it for us, right? You're just, I salute you, Queen, because you didn't have to. You didn't have to.
Listen, I have children. I'm a mother. I also been homeless. I have been stressed. I've been traumatized. I've been all those things. What I will not allow is another child that's up under me to have to feel that raft or feel what I felt and have to go through that path. You don't. This is what we're here for. We are volunteer parents, and people need to remember that. We do not get paid for what we do. We love our kids. We love Philadelphia, and we know that Philadelphia is a great place to be and a great place to live. And we just want to make sure that we highlight those things and continue to get the community to support each other. That's one thing that COVID did. COVID taught people and even brought out the people that was actually doing the work. It actually showed that people will come together, and community is real. And despite everything everybody ever says about us, bad things happen in Philadelphia, great things happen in Philadelphia every single day. It's just that the media will highlight all the, you know, the things that are wrong. And I'm so grateful for your show, because your show highlights what great things are happening in our communities. So we appreciate you, Queen. We really do.
I you know, okay, don't make me cry. I've only cried once on this show, and that was when the DHS parents came, and I completely dissolved. Yesterday, I was trying to take a nap, and I get a call from my childhood friend in Jamaica, and she's talking to me, and I'm half asleep, and she says, no, I want you to hear. She said, you have actually helped Philadelphia over the top. She said, I listened to your show. You were reading the ballot questions. You were telling people all that they needed to know. You were encouraging them. And she said, if I don't want to die without telling you how important you have been to so many lives. I was in tears. And that's why I got on the air this morning and today, and I said, WURD listeners, I couldn't have done it if you all didn't listen, if you all didn't, you know, pay attention, if you all weren't willing to go out and register to vote, even though there was a lot of people who kept saying, man, I don't trust this person too, and I don't trust that person too. We're like, your voice is your vote, right?
Your voice matters, but the reality is that I need people to understand that it's not just big elections. It's every local election. You need to vote in every last one. The same way you come out to remove a racist is the same way you need to come out to make sure that somebody's practicing laws. So I really wasn't concerned about the two. I kind of knew Biden was going to happen. I was more concerned about who the House of Representatives were going to go to be. Yes. So that was my concern. Who's our state treasurer was going to be now? You know, we need to be concerned about those things. And when city council comes back up, go vote for your city council people. Go vote for your judges. Y'all keep screaming about, oh, you don't like this judge. If you go into any community, any primary black community, they can tell you 3 judges that have been sitting on this board for years and years, and they cannot stand them. But you don't vote to get rid of them.
Yes.
Go vote.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Listen, it's so bad, Shakita. I hear one of the employees in the local CVS talking about one of the judges. I was like, wow. And you're right. It's the same judges' names that I hear all the time.
All the time.
So why are we not voting?
We need to vote. They are not the Supreme Court. They don't get lifetime episodes here. They get about 10 years, okay? And when they come up, vote them out.
Yep.
Vote them out.
So we have another election coming up in May, right?
Yes.
The same commitment that I had for the presidential election is the same one I'm going to have, just to really encourage people to come out and vote, because this is insane. It's insanity. It's insanity. And if you can't go before a judge that's going to be fair and right and trying to give us what we need, then we're always going to get what we get. You can have a chief defender, Keir Bradford Gray, who was trying to do what she needs to do. All right, here comes Sierra. Come on. Yes, honey.
How are you?
Hi, I need to see your face, honey.
I'm trying to get to there.
All right,
to
now.
Part. Give me just a
Oh,
second.
and you upside, you turn to the left.
Am I turned to the...
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Hi.
Oh my gosh! And so let me do a brief introduction of you, Sierra. You are no stranger to serving the community through your volunteering and outreach, from being a program assistant for Point Breeze Performing Arts Center to being one of the newest members of representatives for Culture Works. My. And you are the vice president, correct? Your bios.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel it. Yep. Listen, your bios are long and interesting. And so
it means we're out there doing the good work.
Yes, you are. Yes, you know, when your bios get to like 6 pages, you're like, that's what happened to me. And so I just cut it down to 1 page. I'm like, take out that, move that, move that. Goodbye with that. They're just going to have to figure it out, right?
Yes.
Because our bios have to be just about a page long. Sierra, I'm going to give you a brief moment to introduce yourself, and then I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, okay? Tell everybody who you are and how are you working with Shakita.
Yeah, my name is Sierra Freeman. I'm the Vice President of Fundraising and Philanthropy. I work with Shakita on Philadelphia Home and School Council. She's the president. I'm the vice president, and we work together to bring about change for parents and families through HSAs in the city.
Yeah, you know, they say that home and school associations don't do anything. Man, you all are kicking it out. Look at Shakita's face. You know, right? We've had these conversations over and again about home and school councils, but you all have been incredibly involved and engaged. How long have you both been on your home and school councils?
So I have been serving home and school council for about 10 years in the background. And Sierra.
Yeah, I've been here for about 9 months. 9-10 months now.
Well, she still needs baby milk, so let's. Thank you for getting her involved. Hold on, let me take a quick break, okay? And then we'll be right back. Hold on. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
With Internet Essentials from Comcast for only $9.95 a month, you get more. High-speed home internet service included. Peace of mind with XFi Advanced Security included. Access to millions of XFi Wi-Fi hotspots, that's included too. Internet Essentials from Comcast brings you affordable, high-speed internet to your home for only $9.95 a month. When you're connected, you're ready for anything. Visit InternetEssentials.com for more information. Taxes extra. Restrictions apply.
Livelihood, the new initiative from WURD Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey.
Work, 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 work. To me, I be work.
Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. The WURD Radio Newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax-Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio Newsletter.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I have on the line Shakita Gaines and Sierra Freeman. They are the Home and School Council President and Vice President in the Philadelphia School District. They're sharing with us the $10,000 that they got from ACME and how they utilized it to help families in the West Philadelphia section. Sierra, Shakita told us some of what was taking place. How did you get involved in this? 9 months. Do you know what you just walked into, girl?
I do. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I know what I walked into.
Yes,
and
awesome.
I've always been a hard worker. I've always been a go-getter. So I definitely know that the work that we're doing here is important, and I'm fully dedicated to continuing to carry on doing that work.
Yes. How are you all supported by the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers, the superintendent? Do you have a working relationship? Shakita, fix your face. The entire world can see. Okay, let me rephrase that question. What needs to happen for you to have a working relationship with the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers and the superintendent of the Philadelphia School District?
So I'm going to speak on the level of the fact that Jerry Jordan is Jerry Jordan.
And who is Jerry Jordan? Not the WURD.
Jerry Jordan is the president of PFT. Okay. He will call if necessary if he needs other things. Like when Comcast wasn't giving us internet for the Philly, there was a reach out. There's always a reach out when there is something really big that needs to happen. That's one thing I will say about PFT and Jerry Jordan. As far as everything else is concerned, I think it's one of those things where we just need to have a real conversation to sit down of like, what is necessary and what does he need from parents and what we need from teachers. I'm going to be very political today and not speak about anything else on that level because I just think that we're at the point now we have to grow. Yeah. And if you never show growth and you always showing, the negative, you'll never get to anywhere positive in a situation. So let's go to the high road and take it there. I'm so proud of you. Yes. Yes. Let's take the high road here. I'm proud of you. And let's go high because it's necessary. Right now what's going on with COVID, what's going on, with their contracts, what's going on with that. You need parents. You need Philly to speak up for you. You need us. And we want you to be successful. We want our teachers to have the best of the best. So you need to have that communication and relationship. So I think it's one of those things that I might not have reached out the way I need to reach out, and he hasn't reached out the way he needs to reach out. So I will take accountability for me being the president of this organization and not doing right where I need to do. So I will take a step in and step up and send out that email to, just how to kind of have that conversation where we can actually, communicate a little bit better. As far as the superintendent,
so proud
as far as Dr. Haidt, Okay, so I have just wrote an email out to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and asking them not to have him as our Secretary of Education for the United States of America. It's a no.
You applying for it? Shakita, you are live on the air.
I am live on the air. Take that tea. Take that tea. Take that tea. I tell people all the time, there's a different thing when I say facts, and there's a different things when I say tea. The tea is that he is being approached by this situation, and we just don't want that. Philadelphia has suffered enough. You know, Prince George suffered enough, and we just, I personally just think, let me talk about me. My personal belief is that.
Oh, just lost her. I don't know what happened. Okay, see her. Wait, there she is. Okay.
No, I'm here. I'm back. So, that was God's way of saying, Shakita, stop. I just personally think it's not a great fit. And with everything else going on, again, I do not know Dr. Height, the man. So I will not take anything away from Dr. Height, the man. I don't know him yet. I know Dr. Height, the superintendent. And I don't like all the things that he does. But I understand that he's in a position that is not an easy position. You have to make hard choices. You have to make hard decisions. But sometimes those decisions don't seem right. When you have
hold on. Let me also say this to you as someone who sat on a school board. You also want to look at the people around Dr. Height, right? So oftentimes, sometimes as a leader, some things don't get to him when it should get to him because other people may have dropped the ball in different places, right? And unfortunately, the buck stops at the leadership, at the top of the leaders, but sometimes they don't get what they need. And I've seen this happen. I have seen it happen. So not defending Dr. Height because I don't know him. I'm just saying, you know, there's so much there are moving parts here.
Because he was hired by the mayor to do a job, and people have to remember that's his boss. So he has so it's coming down to him, and he's the figure that's supposed to catch all the beat down. That's why he gets more money than the mayor.
Okay, I'm moving
Catch that tea too. Catch that tea too.
Sierra, don't get to her level. She has lost.
Do you see the face that I have? Smile? Okay.
I absolutely see. So you're 9 months in. What are your hopes and dreams, you know, for the Home and School Association? Because, you know, this one over here, Shakita is like, I'm done it. I've seen 10 years of the fraganacle. I'm done with the shenanigans. And so she has so much inside of her now. Have you ever thought about running for office?
Who, me?
I'm not talking to nobody but you.
Okay, so it will be out, and I may be, and that is a great hopeful. I am hopeful that, you know, God would open up that door for me, but I'm not doing anything for political stunts. Right. So people need to know the difference. The difference is this is me genuinely. You can research me. You can Google me. I've been doing this prior to anything else. So I don't need a seat to be somewhere. Yes. My only fear is if I get there in that space, I can't help the people anymore.
No. Stop that. That's ego, right? Let mother school you. So when you get there, you'll be able to help the people in a different way, on a different level.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Let it go. What you need to do in the meantime is groom Sierra, right? And let her form the opinions and thoughts, and, you know, because she's new blood. And so she'll be able to create some places and spaces where you're just like, I'm burning that bridge and I'm done, right? But so what you want to do as an effective leader is you're going to now take everything that you've learned in the last 10 years. You are going to mold and shape her, right?
Yes.
To take over. And then you're going to help people on a different level. That's it.
Yes,
that's it.
I received that.
Please do, because Mama gave it to you. Mama gave it to you.
I wholeheartedly receive that because you're not the first person. And God has been talking to me, and he's been trying to, you know, change my mindset and everything else. And I asked him to bring those people that's supposed to be in that circle to be right there.
All right.
With me as we go through.
So I coach women leaders around the world.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that I don't talk about, I'm going to coach you.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
That's just going to be you and me, because I'm going to take you on. And no, you crying. But you might be crying and saying, I can't stand that woman when I get through with you, because you have incredible potential, right? There are things that you can be doing. Like, I see the leadership in you. What you have allowed to have happen is so many people have done so many crazy things. You're just sitting in the cut going, I can, but you've got to rise above it, right? And so that's where I'm going to take you. So you can rise above a lot of those things, because the world awaits you, and you started with the Home and School Association. You've got to get out of your comfort zone. You're too comfortable here. You're too comfortable here. You know too many people here. You've been able to do what you need to go wade in the water, sister. Right?
Yes,
and so
right.
we're going to have that conversation. Now, let me go on over here to Sierra.
let me just say really quickly, Miss Sanders, if I can, this makes me, and I know I have the same face on, y'all, but this makes me really, really happy, because this is something that Shakita and I have talked about. And I know, I know she's so amazing. She's so amazing. And I can't wait to see her out here. I really can't. So that I just want to say that, because I'm really happy that you're going to coach her, that you said that live on air. Like, I'm personally happy. So I just wanted to say that.
This is only the second time I've met her. Like, we've met in the studios. I've not had any conversations with her beyond that. I've just been watching her. I'm someone who watches people, and I see, I can spot a leader from 10 paces off, and I can spot somebody who's playing at leadership, right? So you'll know when somebody is playing at leadership, because I don't have nothing to say. I'm not going to demean you, but I'm going to stay away from you. I've been watching, and I'm telling you, it is time for you to step out the water. Step out the boat. Stop being comfortable, and I'll coach you. Don't worry about that piece. Now, coming over to you. You're 9 months in, Sierra.
About 9,
Okay, so what are your hopes and dreams for the Home and School Association? All things possible. If all things are possible for you, what are the hopes and dreams that you have now to take over the mantle from Shakita?
Yeah, so I'm going to be honest and say that in the beginning, when Shakita recognized that this was something that I could do, I was very resistant, extremely resistant. Like, no, that's not something for me. But I know and have gotten more comfortable with the fact that I am intrinsically a natural leader based on who I am, but I also work really well in teams, meaning that I have absolute confidence in my president. I stand behind her and her decisions and what she wants for this council right now. So let's talk about what she wants. And so the things that I've been working on was what she wants, right? And what this organization wants and needs. So the food is just a part of it. It's just one leg of it. Continuing to have some solid donations, some corporate sponsors for anyone who's listening, anyone who works in any of these spaces that can plug us, so that we can continue on to have that money to be able to feed the neighborhoods and the communities via HSAs, via community initiatives as much as we possibly can. One of the other legs that we need to branch off into more, one of the things that we did with this West Philly initiative is books, supplies, things that students need. Having the donations, the corporate sponsors, the money to continue to give on a more consistent basis is definitely something that we're interested in here in council. We want to branch off into eventually having housing and providing housing to families. We definitely want to get into that spectrum as well. We want to make sure that we have the resources to help with the mental health and the behavioral health things. So those are our tenets that we're working on right now to secure as council and continue that on into a 1, 3 year, 5 year strategy.
My girl. My girl.
As we say in Philadelphia, my John.
Yeah.
That was, you literally have a plan. I love it.
We do.
I love it.
We do. And we're working on it.
Yes. And so you want to now look at, for all these things that you've talked about, what are the relationships that I have to develop to get to the seat at the table? Because you can't do it without a seat at the table, right?
Yeah.
You can fuss and complain on the outside, but you have to be able to work with people on the inside, even though it might crush your soul, right? You've got to be on the inside to change things. Can't change it from the outside. And so you want to look at the relationships that you would like to develop now authentically to move ahead and get some things done for the Home and School Council. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. There's someone on Facebook that said, I just looked at this. Someone said they needed, single mom of 3, need help with food and rent, please. And so go on the Facebook page when you have a minute and see if someone you can reach out on we're not going to just cash out money to anybody. So we just want to make sure that we reach out to them, talk to them, and find out what the situation is. Okay?
Yep. We can get some food boxes over there. We can definitely do those things, get some necessary needs, and then connect them to city council if necessary, if they haven't already done their portion of things.
So if someone needs help, how do they reach out to you?
So you can go on our website at www.philadelphiahsc.org. You can inbox us that way. You can also find us on Facebook, Philadelphia Homeschool Council as well. We actually kind of made this all easy, as well as Instagram and Twitter. It's all Philadelphia Homeschool Council. If you would like to contact myself and have a private conversation where you're scared somebody might not, you don't want everybody to see what's going on in your life, it's phscpresident@gmail.com. People need to know that I am a case manager for homeless veterans, as well as veterans who are coming to their own spaces. So I deal with the homeless realm. So, let me know what I can help you with. And if I can't help you, we have some great friends and great places that can actually help you succeed.
phscpresident@gmail.com?
Yes, ma'am.
What was it? I have one more question for both of you. What got you involved?
So for me, it was directly after I quit my job as a director of the after-school program. I don't know why I did it. It was the week of Christmas. I was tired of them. They didn't pay me enough. I had brought all these kids into the program, and I was done. And I got approached maybe a week later, and somebody asked me, to join a home school as a secretary. And I was like, what is a home school? And the lady was like, you don't remember the women that used to give you pretzels and juices back in the day? I was like, oh, that's what they were called. I had no idea. I was like, well, I'll join. And when I joined, everybody left. And I had to restart everything else. So I had to rebuild as the president and go out there. And I started seeing the kids in need. And it broke my heart. Because although I was one of those people that needed, and I was one of those parents that needed, they needed more. They needed more than I ever could need. And it just became one of those things where I just didn't feel right at the end of the night. If a kid was hungry, if somebody was homeless, if a fire happened, I just didn't feel right. And I'm here now because of those same beautiful faces, those 4 beautiful children that I have in that next room over here, was my reasoning for keep fighting. And then it was 1,000 kids at Finletter Elementary who needed me. So I was their second mom. So yeah, I got involved because I seen another child who looked like me, who had my story, and needed somebody else to love on.
Yeah. And you, Sierra, why did you get involved?
Yeah, so I've always been one of those kids, young adult students, who would speak up when something wasn't going right. It didn't matter. I got in trouble, didn't matter. I had to say what I needed to say. Things needed to get fixed. They needed to be right. Coming into the Home and School Association and then into PHSC was so organic. I was one of those parents who was always volunteering, who was always, dropping off things for drives. And then someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, do you want to be a part of the HSA? Okay, I can do that. Came into the HSA, became a vice president. Next thing I know, my daughter is in middle school, and I'm beating down the principal's door because we don't have an HSA at her school. Yeah. I'm calling his phone, I'm emailing, I'm trying to see what's going on. And I eventually had a conversation with someone who was already a part of PHSC at that time. And just the first conversation, we stayed on the phone for like an hour and a half. And she said, hey, do you want to maybe think about Philly Home and School Council? I said, okay, I'll sit down and have a conversation. I'm definitely a person that leaves my options open, leaves myself open to what the universe is bringing to me and is saying to me. And that's how I got here. And that's why I'm here, because I'm a parent, because I care, because Philly is my city, because I'm going to make a change wherever I am and however I show up.
I have always said that it is easy to complain. It is far more difficult to fuss and then look for the solutions. You are two solution-oriented women, and you are Black girls that rock. I want to thank the both of you for continuing to do what you need to do. You, Miss Gaines need to reach out to me at the end of the, don't even give me that look. Reach out to me at the end of the show. You and I are going to talk. It's going to be a journey. I'm just letting you know now.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right now. Thank you both so much for all that you've continued to do for the Home and School Council in Philadelphia. I expect great things out of the both of you. And remember, lift as you climb. Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
As you grow, you lift and you bring people with you so you can continue to do what you need to do. You both have a good time. Good day. Okay?
Thank you so
much.
Love you, Queen. Bye-bye.
You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Buying something from a dealer just sounds a bit, well, put it like this. My cousin Ray Ray got arrested for buying something from a dealer. So why would you want to buy your car from a dealer? Hi, everybody. This is Nick inviting you to buy your next car from Jerry over at Cardex. See, they're not dealers. They're like a car concierge service. They design a car around you. Almost any make. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and get it for you. So use my car concierge, where I've already bought 4 cars. Cardex at 116 East Glenside Avenue in Glenside, Pennsylvania. Check them out online at cardexinc.com. Or call Cardex at 215-886-3230.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio.
Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I had the Home and School Council President and Vice President Shakita Gaines and Sierra Kemp on, and someone is asking for the HSC President again, the email address. It is, let me get it for you, PHSC, President @gmail.com. Again, that is PHSC President @gmail.com. Okay? We're coming towards the end of another episode of The Source. I want to thank you all again. If it seems like I am thanking the WURD listeners a ton, I literally just grateful to all of you. Grateful for continuing to watch, grateful for continuing to listen, grateful for letting us know what's going on out in the streets, grateful for even turning the dial here, right? Because you could be listening anywhere else. And so it's the only Black Talk media radio station in Pennsylvania, and you continue to support us in word and deed with your membership and everything else that's going on. So we are very thankful to you for continuing to do what you do to make us okay. You're quite welcome, Mia Davis. I heard you. I saw your thingy on here. So I'm going to finish up the news, and then I'm going to leave a little piece that I wrote the other day. Microsoft and Uber demand more Black attorneys at the law firms they use. Pressure is mounting for legal firms employed by influential corporations like Microsoft and Uber. The companies are demanding the firms to employ more Black attorneys, according to a Wall Street Journal report. The United States sets COVID-19 daily case record with more than 120,000 new cases a day. Oh my gosh, the United States set a new record for daily coronavirus cases on Thursday, November 5th, as the number topped 100,000 for the second day in a row. A total of 120,048 people tested positive, an increase of 16,000 people in a day. Wisconsin recorded one of the highest single-day increases in the country with nearly 6,000 new cases. Which reminds me that there's something that I wanted to also, I take notes. I'm telling you, you should see me when I am preparing for this show. I do all sorts of things. Alex Trebek, the man who has led how many seasons of Jeopardy, has succumbed to stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He has been an institution and just someone that people absolutely could identify with no matter what station in life they came from. Let's see. The Dow spiked 1,600 points as vaccine news and the Biden victory revs up the market. President-elect Biden announces coronavirus task force made up of physicians and experts, one of which came from Pennsylvania. The Utah governor, who is a Republican, who refused to order residents to wear a mask, has changed course and now is declaring a state of emergency because they have record-breaking wave of coronavirus sweeping that state. And so, whatever you believe, wherever you stand, I am going to ask all of you to search your hearts and figure out what it is that you are going to do moving forward. Some people have been, when we look and we say, I can't understand why people would vote for the current president, then you only have to look at the way we are all raised. We're all raised with a set of norms in our lives, right? If you are raised to believe that black people are vile and that we don't have the same rights or that we're 3/5 of a person, and then you have other people that continue to perpetuate it in schools. You're in schools. I hear young white children, and God bless the young white people, because they're clearly challenging their parents, right? And standing up for their black peers on the streets when all the killings were happening. If you go out on the streets and saw the protests, there were just as many young white people as there were young black people out there protesting, because they understand, right? So whatever side you sit on, and those young white folks would say, I'm in school, I do something egregious, my teacher overlooks it, my friend does something less, and they get a detention or a suspension. We really want to pay attention. If the young people can see the disparities, right? When you're an adult and you decide you want to be a teacher or a police officer, you have to understand that you're serving all the students and all the public, not just the ones that you tend to like and, think is manageable. We've got to be very careful, right? And if you can't do that, then you really shouldn't be in the positions that you're in, right? Because you really want to take care of folks and do the best job that you can. If we don't get people in education that are willing to look at all races and work with all children, instead of telling them things like, well, that's for the smart children. You can't go to the University of Pennsylvania because that's for certain children, and you're not smart enough to get the grades. When you got people who are in places where they're leading parenting organizations, and they say things like black children are not as smart because, even if their parents move to the suburbs and can afford the houses and the cars. When you have black women and men who are in industry, who are working their tail feathers off, got the degrees, and they're being marginalized by people who are in power because, we don't want you to get my position. And so if you say something in a meeting, I'm going to pretend like I didn't hear you, or I'm going to treat you like what you say didn't matter, when someone else could say the same exact thing and you heard it, right? When you are an educator who gets a PhD, but you're black, and when you put up your doctor whatever on the door and you come in the next morning and your PhD note is torn off the door. These are the little insidious things that continually happen in America over and again, right? And so when you make assumptions of people living in the city versus people living in the suburbs, when you make assumptions that folks living in the city can't make the kinds of money that folks living in the suburbs do, when you make the assumptions that if you're from a different country, you're better than everybody else. Assumptions, like we have to think about what we're saying and doing as we do them, right? I want us to think about unlearning the stuff that we have learned and looking around you and learning new things from different people, relearning and readjusting ourselves. Because if we continue to just believe what we've always thought and known, that is what we're always going to get. The fact of the matter is this: the country, the world is evolving and changing, and these young people are not sitting around waiting for us to get ourselves together so that they can move ahead. They're tired, y'all. They're tired. And so plans are being made as we speak. So either we're going to step up and say, all right, I haven't been doing what I'm supposed to do. Let me figure out where I should go. Either I'm going to step up and say, you know what, I am a progressive, but maybe there are things going on in my office that I really need to deal with, and I may have some blind spots, and who can I get to help with me? Maybe you can step up and say, all right, they're calling me to put me on this thing and on that thing and on that thing, and I'm talking to leaders now. Don't just get into the leadership positions and say, well, they think I'm so wonderful, so they put me in. No, no, no. With leadership comes a heavy responsibility. And so I want you all to practice humility in every single thing that you say and do. And think about people other than yourselves, right? I have white friends. This week was rough for my white friends. It was. I just got to the point where I stopped interacting with a couple of them because I was like, you're not getting it. You keep saying Joe Biden's going to win, Joe Biden's going to win, and you're not realizing the travesties that black people have had to deal with for decades and decades. And I'm saying that I am deeply impacted. And you're like, well, see, Joe Biden wins, everything's going to be okay. Now we're going to set the country right side up. But the fact of the matter is, we all have been complicit in some way in the way the country has gotten to, right? When your resume looks nothing like the black woman who was doing 4 times the work that you have done, but you get the job because of the color of your skin, right? And you go in there and you do a mediocre job, and then you come back out and you say the world is against you. The black woman gets in there and you make her life miserable, or the black man gets in there. Like, you have to really start paying attention. And for the love of everything that is holy, when someone of color walks into a boardroom and sits there and you're speaking, don't dismiss what they're saying or pretend like what they're saying makes no sense, or refuting what's coming out of their mouths. It's disingenuous, it's disrespectful, and you want to be able to hear people out. You want to help black people? Start doing those kinds of things. Like, start shifting your mindsets and getting the help that you may need to get there. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. And so we have work to do. We have to consistently do the work. And I'm telling you now, mark my words, black women are coming for everything and everybody. We have created the spaces, right? We have stepped in the gap for our brothers. We love our brothers. We want to make sure our brothers are okay. We want to continue to uplift our brothers. We want to continue to uplift our children. And quite frankly, we've been uplifting the world as we've moved along to do the things that we need to do. And so the time has come. We can no longer say, thank you for your votes. You can no longer say, well, we're only appointing one black person on this commission, or, we're only going to fund one black person to run for office. Well, all the stories that we've told ourselves over the years. If you truly desire to see change in this country, then change must start with you. Stop pointing fingers at this one over there and that one over there. Change starts with you. And if you hold on to that each and every day that you get up and move forward, then we'll start to see the incremental changes that we need on behalf of our citizenry, because otherwise things are not going to get better for us in any way, shape, or form. And we will continue to have this conversation 4 years down the road. Do not look at Kamala Harris and think that she's going to save all black people. Please don't. The same way we did with Barack Obama. What we need to do is recommend to the Biden team the kinds of people that can sit in the positions for all of those cabinet positions that are coming up now. And not the same old dead, dry horses, right? But people who have potential, who can do amazing work. We are going to start targeting those people and pushing them into places where they can help and support other folks. I am so, so happy to have had the opportunity to sit with you guys each and every week on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And for as long as I am here at WURD radio station, I will continue to give you the best of everything that I have in me so that we can continue to thrive and grow, not just as people of color, but as the human race. Coming up next is Nick Taliaferro with Evening Words. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.